Gamers rise up. We live in a society. Hello and welcome to our weekly Anti-SJW Ultradegeneracy. The show where we usually stray away from topic, and go on tangents. And sometimes talk about
the subject,
social issues and news and mostly talk shit. But yeah,
no, we mostly talk about drugs.
Well, that's drugs. I mean, technically, drugs are a social and a political issue. So
True.
It's not a fucking issue.
But by the way, speaking of, there's like SJWs take everything is a political issue. So apparently, the shit I took today is a political issue. Well, then again, given where politics is going, it's probably.
Well, dude, remember, Glebs, the personal is political. They'll tell you.
That shit you took is a feminist issue as well.
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of feminist issue, just if you wanted to, have a laugh, just go to any search engine and type "is a feminist issue" and see what counts as feminist issues. You'll be surprised.
Ooh.
Actually, let me show some examples.
Well, let's present people before we start.
Fucking glaciers.
Speaking of, we managed to stray away from topic before even introducing our guests. Well, that's our show in a nutshell. So let's see. Today we are joined by Broken Heart.
Hello, hello.
Chairman Macho.
Hey there.
Nick.
Hey there, paisanos.
Striker.
We live in a society.
Black Lord.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 50th episode.
And I'm your host, Sheev Lord.
And see.
And speaking of, by the way, if you haven't guessed by the title of the stream, well, we are going to talk about this extra credits video. Oh, it's bad. If you've known about this, it's bad. But if you haven't watched it fully, you don't know how bad it is, and it's bad. It's like I thought it would be bad, like in the same sense as game theory videos are bad. No, it's bad in the sense of Anit Sarkeesian bad, that kind of bad.
Not Michael Jackson bad.
Yeah. I got that reference. Okay. I promised to show some of the feminist issues. Let me show just. This huge giant screenshot. It was from 2015 or no 2014. Very old, but it's probably gotten even dumber. Oh, and my mouse batteries are dead. I'm great.
Wired for life.
I mean,
Kidding.
All right, I have another wireless mouse. This one is.
Oh, living in the future there, Glebs.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, my mouse is back. I can actually.
Oh shit! With the glasses, I just realized you're like Russian Agent Smith.
Oh, I'm the hacker man. Oh no, hacker man.
Hacker man.
Yeah, from Deus Ex.
So let's see. Fat is a feminist issue. Why farting is a feminist issue?
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is a feminist issue. 7 reasons why class is a feminist issue. Smoking is a feminist issue. Fracking is a feminist issue.
Fracking.
Wait, is smoking a feminist issue like a certain World War II dictator?
No, I think they're smoking whatever they are smoking. It's probably not tobacco.
Well, there's a solution to that. We went over this shortly after the last stream. Just try vaping because vaping is safer than smoking.
Oh wait! Remember there was
It's
the
safer
feminists.
for everyone who isn't smoking, but
No,
let's just leave
remember
that
there
part
was the feminists who were trying to who were smoking cigars to overthrow the stereotypes or whatever.
Oh yeah, getting lung cancer to own the patriarchy.
Yeah.
So literally, I don't know what is their logic because Hitler was anti-smoking. They're gonna smoke. I guess.
Well,
United
Germany was one of the first countries to have anti-smoking campaigns, to have a mandatory what was it called? Break to you for you if you were a workplace, you had to have a break room, and well, of course, people had to use it. So yeah, there were many things that Germany did first.
Well, yeah, the Nazis were the first people to discover the link between smoking and lung cancer. So
They were also the first people to weaponize autism.
we'll go with that.
Dr.
Not yet.
Asperger was German.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, let's see what else is there. Like, fracking is a feminist issue. Go frack yourself.
Yeah.
Race is a feminist issue. Islam is a feminist issue. Why hating on Gwyneth Paltrow is a feminist issue. Like, it's so.
Well, I mean,
Whoa, she is a cunt.
sadly, Islam is a feminist issue. They're just on the wrong side of it.
Peace
Yeah.
is a feminist
Well,
issue.
yes, but
Cannabis
what the
legalization is a feminist issue.
oh, there we
I was
go.
about to say, doesn't Ayan Hirsi Ali consider herself a feminist, and all the left-wing social
I
justice
don't
warriors
think so.
hate her
Yes.
anyway?
No, that's Christina Hoffsummers. I don't think Kirstie Ali. I've never heard her say that, at least.
Yeah, I could be
But
wrong.
Hoffsummers.
I know I could be wrong on that, but I just thought I heard that or something.
Yeah, no, Christina Hofsummer is more on the reclamation part. She's trying to reclaim feminism.
Yeah, I know.
truly
She,
equal.
yeah, I know she considers herself a feminist, but then it was pretty funny, back when she was doing that, people are just like, oh, well, feminists would talk with both sides of the mouth on that, because in one minute they'll say like, oh, well, you are a feminist if you believe men and women are equal, but in the same breath they'll try to say, well, Christina Hoff Summers isn't a true feminist because she doesn't believe the same crazy shit that they do.
Right.
So which
Well,
is it?
I mean, because the thing is that that whole definition thing is just it's just a facade, because
Yep.
they in no way, like none of the prominent ones at least, the leaders of the movement, none of them actually act this way.
Well, it's
At all.
propaganda. What do you expect?
Hey,
So-
you know what would be
It's
like the
almost
funniest?
like they're liars. Ooh, surprising.
Hey, you know what would be the funniest shit ever? It's just to see Donald Trump call himself a feminist and see how many of them drop the label. Just because
that is something I dearly want, because
I don't
everybody
think
will go
they would.
screaming.
I think they just
Probably
screech at
not,
him.
but
Nah.
Well, if he would
It'd
call
be so
himself,
hilarious.
wait, you know what? If he calls himself a male feminist, then everyone will think that all the accusations of sexual impropriety against him are true.
Yeah, that could backfire.
Yeah. Which one was
But
it?
they already think that, so
I don't know.
we've lost
Was
nothing.
it real this week?
Well, they'll just believe it even more.
This week there was an article about
They're brainless. Who cares?
a few hundreds of women that stripped naked to protest, I think, climate things.
oh yeah, it was some random. Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
Was it
might have
legit?
been
Because
climate.
the pictures looked old, so I was wondering if it was legit. Because especially if they were protesting Trump, it's like Trump could just say, "Hey, look at that! I don't even have to ask him to get naked for him because of me."
Well, we all know that they are just attention whores, and maybe they want to get grabbed by the pussy. And
They wished, that's for sure, by anyone.
yeah, meat as a feminist is Christmas. Knesset
Oh,
Christmas. What?
Yeah.
Jewish Arab romance is a feminist issue.
Oh, yeah, shut it down. I have no.
That
White
is
pelvic
a,
girdle
Snow
pain.
Jane.
Is a small penis a feminist issue?
oh my god.
Bruh.
What?
Why pelvic girdle pain is a feminist issue?
Bruh.
Pelvic girdle? What the fuck is that?
Net neutrality.
Why the Trans-Pacific Partnership is a feminist issue? Reading is a feminist issue.
Reading.
Renting is a
Renting.
feminist issue.
Ranting.
Knit
Knit
is a feminist issue.
Oh god, I just remembered there was it that woman who was like knitting and had like her period like blood on the knit coming out of the knitting. Oh, it was
That's nasty.
oh.
Nasty.
And she like knitted this like bloody, I don't know, sock or something.
That's literally a biohazard. She should be fucking arrested for
Well,
trying to suck
we've
that
been
shit.
over this before, like what is it with these people and their fetish for bodily fluids? I mean, remember a while back on our old show we'd covered the story about the transgender individual who filled a tank full of piss.
No,
Yeah, I
not
remember
a
this
tank.
one.
It was like
Yeah.
fucking 200 gallons of it.
How
Yeah.
about the guy who wore? How about the guy who washed his clothes with HIV positive blood and then wore it to a Pride event?
Yeah, we heard about that. I think we mentioned that.
And then no, not only that. Remember, there was the magazine that was planning to put HIV positive blood in its ink.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I
Why?
don't think this would work, and also I don't think this is legal because adding, blood, not even infected blood, just blood is kind of
Biohazard.
yeah. It's like
And any
What if you
bodily
mess up the
fluids.
sterilization process? What if you mess up the sterilization process and start spreading HIV?
No,
well,
I think
HIV
no.
it doesn't survive.
If it dried, unless people were like chewing the paper, and even then, I think it probably would
Yeah,
have
it's
died.
like if it's been outside in air, HIV doesn't.
And by the way, making paper, there's a lot of chemicals that could sterilize a bowl. So
yeah, but you know what? If this
Yeah.
person has HIV, they might also have other STDs, and bacteria, for example,
Yeah.
it can survive much better than viruses outside of the host body. So some bacteria are so resilient that, for example, some bacteria accidentally were sent to the moon because the spacecraft weren't sterilized properly, and then one of the missions they took some equipment from previous missions, so equipment that was left on the moon for many months, and when they brought it back to Earth, they managed to revive some of the bacteria that were still there. So
Yeah.
bacteria survived exposure to low gravity, cosmic radiation, very low and very high temperatures, and managed to come back to life when brought to Earth. So there's that.
which one?
And they specifically try to sterilize it so they don't contaminate stuff and like find so we can actually find actual alien bacteria.
Yeah,
But
that's
they
what
didn't
happened with
do it right.
that's what happened with Curiosity. The problem is they can't send it to the possible liquid water on Mars because there's like shit. We didn't expect we didn't expect it to happen, so we didn't sterilize the probe. So it's like no, we just can't. But otherwise, we might just kill whatever's there because of our own bacteria, or just have bad readings.
Yeah, you don't want to bring that's the thing. You can easily contaminate if you yeah, and then if you accidentally contaminate it and then find Earth bacteria there, well, it's a bit of a problem trying to find out if those bacteria were like on Mars before you came there or after, because this can be because maybe there was well there was life on Mars, maybe there still is, probably not, but who knows. And maybe if there's this theory of what's it called, panspermia, that life originated somewhere else and then was brought to Earth via like a meteor or something. So if life originated from somewhere else, then you might find Earth-like life on other planets, or at least remnants of it. But if you contaminate samples with Earth life, then there's no way to know if it's well. There isn't. If you find a species of bacteria, like a species strain, because
That you already know. Yeah.
the concept of species doesn't apply to bacteria because of how they reproduce.
Yeah.
It's like there's if you find this exact same strain of bacteria that exists on Earth, it's probably recent. There's no way it could be there for millions of years and evolve into identical or very similar strain to what we can find here.
Yeah.
By the way, back to the topic at hand. I like how Jezebel of all places is a voice of reason here. Not everything is a feminist issue, for Christ's sake.
No, for Christ's sake, Jezebel.
I was about to ask. So it's like Montenegro's NATO membership a feminist issue?
Oh,
No, it's a race issue because of the name.
well, why hate and immigration to the Dominican Republic is a feminist issue?
Ugh.
Ending Zionism is a feminist issue. Oh my god.
Anyway,
What?
Oy
Zionism
vey.
Oh, ending Zionism. Ooh,
Wait.
oy vey.
Hold on. With the autism is a feminist issue. How is it a feminist issue? I just looked up like just some random stats.
It affects more men than women.
To every one girl.
Speaking of, let me just show you my shitpost from a while back.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's plenty of autistic men out there, but rarely do you find autistic women.
It's literally like 4 to 1.
Yeah,
Described as
I've only met like 2 girls in my entire life who are autistic.
I know of one in my neighborhood, but she's like severe autistic.
Yeah, it's fairly rare.
Well, anyways, let me play my shitpost.
an irreverent feminist manifesto.
We should go.
So, if you had you knew of a severely autistic girl, did you do like Eric Andre on the show? He said that they locked arms around the girl and went around and they gave her I think LSD and it went nightmare. It, was like, it actually cured her retardation.
That was oh god.
Oh no, Eric Andre, my god, yeah, pretty funny guy.
He ain't perfect, but he's. Oh god, when is the fifth season coming though? All right, go ahead, Glips.
Huh? Snoring is a feminist issue. I thought it said snorting because you have to be snorting something to give this fucking retarded.
To think it's a feminist issue, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You know, last night we were talking about Dr. Rock, so when that comes up.
Well, it's like, snoring is a feminist issue. Well, if I don't know what's the proportion of population that snores. If it's more men, then probably. Because it would prevent women from sleeping, and from preventing from sleeping. No, not in this household. Literally, my parents do beds apart because my mother snores, but like a hell of a lot.
Also, it gets worse with age. So the older you are, the more likely that you are to snore. But then again, if you are old, you are probably married to someone old, and old people are harder to wake up. So
Yeah, like my grandmother, she pretty much needed to sleep with a breathing apparatus for the last couple of years of her life.
Yeah, no, but my mother, she had sleep apnea too, so.
DNA collection is a feminist issue, apparently.
Are they talking like for the friggin' rape kits, or are they just talking about that in general?
Let's see.
They're dumb enough for it to be in general.
What was it? Gun violence, snoring, aging, eating disorders, DNA collection. I need to check it out on the article itself. But there's like gun control is a feminist issue. Ferguson is a feminist issue. Biology is a feminist issue. Wake up, woman. Wake up, people.
Sleep it's from Salon, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, where's my fucking jank gift?
Dementia.
Wait. Hold on. Which one was it?
No,
Slate?
wait a minute. Dementia
like
Woman. What the dementiawoman.org.uk. What the fuck is that name?
Well, it's actually Dementia Women is pretty much a good name for a feminist website.
Well, first of all, that's not how adjectives work. It should be demented women. Because they're feminists.
Body hair is a personal and a feminist issue. Mookie chick. I don't know what mookie is, but it sounds kind of gross.
Wait. Time lost to blow dries. It makes hair a What? You don't have to blow dry your hair, you stupid idiots.
First world fucking problems.
Oh my god! Nobody is forcing you to blow dry your hair.
Yeah, that's the thing. First of all, men who have long hair have the same issue because
Yep.
He doesn't
Can't
care.
confirm.
Yeah.
I
I
would.
Yeah,
I
but
probably
Glebs,
would
we
need
need to address the hair length gap between men and women.
It's like these people have never seen like hair metal bands from the 80s.
Look, with them soon, it's gonna be the dick length gap is gonna be a feminist issue.
It already is. Really.
There
Yes,
was.
well, it's a feminine penis.
Yeah.
Why twerking is a feminist issue. Alcohol is a feminist issue. Working from home. Facebook is a feminist issue.
All of them.
Yeah, because that's what they do all day.
Working
Why
is a
physics
feminist
is a feminist issue. Pink is a feminist issue, apparently.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Physics.
Okay.
Well,
We gotta move on. This will literally take like a week to get through all
Alright.
of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
gonna turn
Well,
into
that article
EFAP,
about the
but with
pink-
less standing for homecoming.
Okay, well,
Jesus,
that
that's
article
embarrassing.
about the pink shit, I mean, that's pretty prophetic. Since that one was from 2013, and now here we
Now
are in
the
2019, and all
pink
the fucking
hats.
pink pussy hats, are fucking
Yeah.
everywhere.
How about this? How about we make dabbing, flossing, and yeeting a feminist issue? How about that?
No, yeeting is a homosexual issue because of Muslims because they got yeeted off the.
Yeet or be
Wait,
yeeted.
why the fuck is Lyme disease a motherfucking feminist issue?
Yeah.
Is Lyme disease becoming a major issue for women worldwide?
Why? Oh my god. I might have to look that one up later.
Free
Just to
speech.
see the retarded
Violence.
reasons why.
Oh, apparently, just women are being beaten up.
Well, anyways, yeah, let's.
Don't they dare fucking say
All
that
right,
war
so
is a
what are
feminist
we going to
issue.
move on to now? We're going to talk about
Yeah,
aligning
great.
with
We need our extra credits.
Yeah, let's talk about extra credit.
Yeah, let's talk about faggotry. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
because it's like okay, full disclosure, I've never watched extra credits before. I knew they were bad, but I thought they were bad as in game theory bad.
It's
But
not
No, like-
usually. No, it's not
No.
usually this bad. The
Usually
history
it's
part
not that
is good.
political. Like I
So
I watched them. I like their extra like history stuff or whatever.
I knew
but
when they started extra history, they started getting very SJW, so I knew that not to trust them.
I mean, like, granted, they had, like, some of the subject matter was definitely going, like, sort of in that realm. Like, oh, hey, look, here's Joan of Arc, and, like, going all this, like, pro-women stuff. It was generally interesting, even with all of that.
It's shit you could look up on Google, though.
Okay, but it's still interesting, because I haven't heard all of this. But the point is that they've never gotten this bad.
Yo.
I mean,
Sorry.
I've heard that they were anti-Gamergate back in the day. So.
Oh yes. Oh, absolutely yes.
Broken, are you in a course of coffee or some shit? Damn.
Sorry, I'm outside.
Well, I noticed we've been streaming for about what 15 minutes now, and you've been here this whole time. Your internet hasn't crapped out like it normally does.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm outside and.
Don't. You shouldn't have mentioned. Now you jinxed it.
No, it should be stable. It's not my normal internet.
Well,
Anyways,
so yeah, this is like almost 6 minutes of pure idiocy. So brace yourselves. Also, before we start, let me show this masterpiece of contemporary art.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everyone's like, we live in a society, but what they don't tell you is that we die in a society too.
So deep.
Yeah, it's really layers and layers of irony. Because if you look closely, you can see this is also a loss meme.
We die in a society.
Nice.
Yeah, and at first I thought it was a political compass.
Nowadays, everyone we live in a society, but what they don't tell you is that we die in a society too.
Actually, it kind of works as a political compass as well.
Yeah, there should be a little bit editing for the. We live in the first one.
No, nowadays everyone's like, so it's like in the authoritarian left, everyone should be like the same because their
Oh
idea.
my
of
god, it
right.
works.
You're right.
Oh no.
Kind of does.
I
Sort-
retire. I
very,
retire
very
what I
roughly,
said.
though.
I remember what I just said. You are right.
Oh no.
The
The meme gets deeper.
and authoritarian right is like it's really really
The meta
against
meme.
society. How collectivism we live in a
Yeah.
society, so that's collectivist. Yeah. Libertarian left, what they don't tell you, because you know how libertarian left is, they don't tell you a lot of stuff like, oh yeah, we are pro free speech, we are pro weed, but if you look at them, they just same neoliberal shit, but with more.
Well, I know you could also do it like sort of like, big companies don't tell you shit, the government doesn't tell you stuff. You could do it that way too.
Yeah, well, speaking of libertarian left, I was showed this. I raised my case. Oh,
Hello.
You came in a little too late. We moved past our "Is this a women or feminist issue" part segment.
Hey,
It's okay. Hi.
it's been a while.
Oh, hey there.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Well, our streaming schedule's been sporadic anyway, but
Yeah.
So this is what with the price we must pay for living in society. Yeah. Speaking of libertarianism, just just the
What is this?
like, libertarianism.org Twitter account. I took those screenshots myself, so they are legit 100%. And it's like not a isolated incident. They all post this shit all the time, like this. Was the Haitian Revolution the most libertarian revolt in history? Yeah, a revolution that ended in a literal genocide. So libertarian. Just
Well, I mean, not only that, but like they literally killed a bunch of mulattoes too.
yeah, like ethnic cleansing, libertarianist as fuck.
Yeah, that was not libertarian. That was fucking ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, that violated the mulattoes NAP.
Also, there is space to fuse the best of liberalism and with the best of Marxism.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Good luck with that.
let's say, isn't that what Bernie Sanders is trying to do?
Yeah, I'm not a Marxist. Like, I'm not a socialist. I'm a democratic socialist. This is like when they accuse Trump of being fascist, he should have said, "No, I'm democratic fascist." It's different.
well, wait, every mainstream outlet will say Trump says he's a fascist, so he can't really say that.
Well, a man can dream.
I think he might as well just embrace it at that point.
Oh, by the way, speaking of, let me just one of the funniest memes from 2016. There's like a cars driving by. Yeah, this. Remember this one?
That's right.
Jesus.
Damn, I didn't notice that. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's.
To be fair, Trump did a lot of pouting faces like fucking Mussolini at some point, though.
Oh, come on!
Pretty funny.
He did faces
He's
like
an old man. Come on. An old man looks like an old man. Wow. Fucking got him.
If he did faces like Mussolini, no, come on, he'd be impeached because Mussolini made some really, really derpy faces. I mean,
Mussolini was derpy. He was a fucking fascist. What do you want?
The thing is,
He was a fascist, but he was a Chad too. Look at that chin.
Oh, speaking of, do I need to? I need to.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Yes, you need to what?
It has been invoked, and you must comply.
Yeah, I need to show this. I mean, it's a law. Virgin Adolf versus Chad.
There you go.
Jesus Christ.
You look at
Cocked
Chad
by
face,
Jewish fairy tales.
Mussolini.
Reminder: the Germans were never white. They LARPed as fucking white people. It's amazing.
Just if you this is
Fucking
unmodified.
Teutons.
Yeah, the face is like Chad's face with very few, almost no modification, just a hat. And this is Mussolini. This is him, like, literally him.
Yeah, literally him. Yep.
Well, and then, Globs, I sent you a picture
Let me see.
on Discord.
This is like,
But like this fucking face. What the
Yeah.
shit?
You know what it is? It is my face is tired.
Yeah.
I think you know what.
My fascism is tired.
You know what?
Wait. Ooh, keep the memes going for just where the fuck is it?
It's like far be it from
Oh,
me.
please tell. There it is. Yes, I got.
Do I present you?
Yes.
Fuck it.
Oh yeah, Pia invited agrees. And said, "Oh no, Germany, help but Italy."
Fucking idiot.
Me, Mario.
When he tried.
But Italy.
Mama,
It wouldn't be the first.
invada the glaze. Oh no, Germany, help Italy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time. The Italian tanks ran out of gas 60 miles over the Libyan border into Egypt.
I mean, honestly, like Italy's attempt to rebuild the Roman Empire is literally the most comical fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
Like
Also,
at every stage, it's like, oh shit, Germany, please help.
yeah,
Their
also-
high point. Hey, at least they were able to defeat fucking Ethiopia by themselves with gas.
yeah, well,
Didn't they get
What-
defeated? No,
what
it,
they
like
had-
they got defeated in a couple battles, I think, or something.
Italy.
Well,
didn't
they
really
did.
have
They
tanks.
eventually-
They had fucking tankettes that were
Or two,
basically
maybe, I don't know.
tiny.
I call this Mussolini and Mussolinier.
Right?
Yeah.
Holy shit! No. You know
It
what
looked
we
like
should
an
call
original
it?
Fallout graphic.
You know what we should call this?
Nah, no. Original Fallout didn't look like that. Original
What-
Fallout was with puppets, if I remember correctly.
No.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
What?
Yes, it was.
What?
You know what we should call this?
Yeah, they were digitized puppets.
No.
Hold on, Nick.
Wait. Fallout? Digitized puppets? What are you talking about?
The original Fallouts were made of puppets.
Yeah, because a while back I was watching, that video, why Fallout isn't Fallout anymore, and they talked about how they made the original characters in the original Fallout games, and yeah, they were puppets. That
Remember
were
the talking heads for all the dialogue?
Those are puppets?
They were
No
scanned
way.
from puppets, like how Doom's sprites are actually physical things.
Well, yeah, they were sculpted, but they were used those as a reference. They weren't like pictures of those sculptures. They had those sculptures as a reference for
Hang
art,
on.
but they were still hand drawn. So it's kind of not the
What?
same.
We're kind of getting off topic.
Well, I'm gonna find the picture.
As I said before, like we stray away from topic. Like every day we stray further away.
We have a lot of straying off topic to do because we didn't have done a lot in the last month.
Yeah.
I hereby name that picture Mussolini before and after LSD.
Well, given that back in the day, look, if you look at his, not facial animation, the facial expressions, most of the time he was probably coked out of his mind, or on meth or something, or maybe both. Because Hitler
If you're
was,
a fascist dictator, you probably much have to, I think.
yeah. Look, I mean, if you, I remember a while back on Facebook when I was still using Facebook. In the discussion, someone actually unironically said that Hitler was like a, icon of sobriety and healthy lifestyle. Just because he didn't smoke and didn't drink alcohol doesn't mean he was,
Yeah, I think
He
it
was getting like meth injections on a regular
every day
basis.
he got like cocaine, methamphetamine,
A literal cocktail of
Yeah.
fucking
well,
morphine.
he did more cocaine than fucking Roxo, the heavy metal clown.
Yeah, so he was.
And I think taking alcohol would have really badly impacted his health with all that thing in
Actually,
his
no,
blood.
mixing. Well, by the way, mixing cocaine and alcohol is a really bad idea.
Well, cocaine,
uppers and
methamphetamine,
downers. Yeah.
all those medication he had, because at the time there was legitimate medication.
Well, those are still legitimate medication, but just because something is legitimate medication doesn't mean it's.
Yeah, but I mean, you should never mix medication and alcohol at all.
Yeah, especially since one of the medications he was taking was morphine, and morphine you shouldn't mix alcohol with opiates because it usually when people overdose on opiates is either after they were heavy users, then they quit and then decided to start again, and forgot that their tolerance got reset while they were clean, so they take doses, or they overdose when they mix with alcohol, because alcohol potentiates opiates and
the downer and downer.
Guys, can we get on to the extra credits thing?
Yeah. By the way, another prediction, you predicted that we will talk about drugs.
Yeah,
well, that's just a
we're
metaphor
two for
for
two.
boys.
We're two for.
Yeah, like it wasn't.
I mean, you need drugs in order to get through this fucking garbage.
Yeah.
We're putting the cart before the horse. We're talking about drugs before our actual main topic.
Hey,
though.
Bethy, you want to get fucking baked? Now would be a good time.
Yeah,
Hey,
so,
Hirohito,
let's watch the video.
by the
watch
way,
the video.
in this video,
Or Cassie, I'm sorry.
now is the time to take drugs, because this is going to be painful. So pop your oxycodone. Pretend to be I forgot what's his name. What's the name of this conservative talk show host who turned out to be oxycodone junkie?
Oh, the conservative guy.
Yeah.
Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, Rush
Limbaugh. There you go.
Fucking yeah, Limbaugh, the gay drug addict. Yeah.
Yeah, he has like 20 pills a day.
God damn.
It's
Like, how are you not dead?
Well, it's like years and years of abuse, because this much would kill a person without a tolerance. But if you do it like for decades,
He takes so much drugs and dick. He can just do it all now.
He's used to do a drug rush.
No, seriously, he is like the most openly closeted homosexual. It's hilarious.
openly closeted.
Yes.
Really, I thought that Lindsey Graham had that distinction.
No, Lindsey Graham's just a woman.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
let's go.
But I know that this is going to be bad. Oh.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this.
Pause.
I never asked for
You
this.
bought the fucking game.
Also, he misspoke. He then said all of the sudden.
It's all
The first sentence. We got him.
You know what I
mean? Literally, like, you bought the game. Nobody, like the fascists didn't like come up and put a gun to your head and say you're gonna buy this game.
Wait, you know what they're talking about? You buy something like Minecraft, just play it, change the language, and suddenly, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me show.
Wait, what?
I mean, this is just a failure of researching
What is
the
it?
game.
Turned into like 1488 craft? What are you talking about?
Well,
PewDiePie's been playing.
I think I remember this.
Wait. Let me just show it. If back in the day, if you switch language to Afrikaans, this is because they had user submitted translations and they didn't verify them before.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh
yeah.
no!
An African air. Oh my god. Ouch.
Oh no!
Oopsies is right.
Oh my god!
This is why you don't trust. There's a saying: trust but verify.
Oh man.
Always.
Yeah, this was before PewDiePie. This was the heated gamer moment.
Ooh.
Get down, Mrs. Obama.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the N-word. Don't say the N-word.
The meme I want to do, with this thing is, you remember one of the first Splatoon commercial? It's like, you're a squid now, you're a kid now you're a Nazi now. Like it's always more just, yeah, you're a Nazi now, and then there's just I never asked for this.
Yeah, fool.
They should have. Or they should. Someone should make a video like the song from Shrek All Star, but with a "Hey now, you're a Nazi, get your gas on."
Oy vey.
Hey now, you're the SS. Get your boss on. gas the juice.
Get your boots on, get gassed, and all that
Now
you
you're
see is Jews.
Oh, that's
Okay.
it.
All right, let's
Only
my
shoot
God,
the
that-
bears make
Why
the
would you do
most.
that?
Yeah,
Oh, that is Jew gold. Like,
no, all the Jews are now gone. Yeah, anyways,
Let's continue.
let's
Only shite stuff. Wear cool hats.
okay, let's continue.
Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently.
Yeah, look at this Steve
Yes,
Shine
look.
idea.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He looks.
son of a
he
bitch, it
Steve
is.
Si- Oh no.
His hat's the wrong color, but close enough.
Da, 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 da,
I
da,
think.
da.
Oh my God.
Okay, when I'm gonna do my video thing, I'm just gonna slap Steve Shive's logo on it, and it's gonna
There's slap
the
his
resemblance. It's
Yeah.
uncanny.
That is Steve Shives. What the fuck?
damn.
Continue.
Well, what does this guy look like in real life? I don't remember any of these guys' names.
Cock.
Who
Well,
gives a
usually
shit what
they
look
look
like?
like they usually look like their avatar.
Well, I mean, yeah, but anyways.
But
All right,
if they look like
continue.
stereotypical
Yeah,
toy boys.
It does look worse. There's less depth to the podium.
Yeah,
At least I
I'm
remember.
telling you that the fucking art style did change because a different artist worked on it. Originally, it was the wife of a serviceman, and she did decent art, even though she actually had one of her hands crippled. Anyway,
Wait, why are we getting like?
who's playing
music in the
fucking
background?
freeform jazz? Stop that shit.
Wait,
Just let-
you don't remember this? This was the Steve Shives intro tune.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, continue.
Okay.
Than playing a British soldier. This is bad on so many levels.
Bad.
This is bad. I also one of the jokes
They
is just
also linger
extra
way
credit
too
is
long on their
bad on
visual
so many
jokes now.
levels.
You know, this
Anyway.
video is stupid on so many levels.
Stupid.
I like this soundbite.
No one should ever have a random chance of fighting for the Nazis.
Why not?
That says
They're
Nick
all-
Cage.
They're dead. They're
idiot!
fucking dead.
You had to
British
rotate it one more fucking time. You
Nick
can't even
Cage,
get your
banana.
visual aids right.
Whoa, wait, just wait a
banana,
second.
British soldier, unicorn, puppy, allies, British soldiers, white British soldiers.
I mean, wait. The other thing is like, okay, wait, hold on. If he's
banana.
You
complaining
raised
about
the
this,
visual aid, and you couldn't have it land on the word Nazi. You brainlet.
well, no, I mean, okay, hold on. The other thing is, if they're
It
complaining about
stopped
this,
on Nick Cage.
what about like in like what Battlefront 2 or whatever, Battlefront and all that, the Star Wars first person,
Yeah.
like you're playing as space Nazis, like,
Yes.
so they
Also,
don't have.
like,
I mean,
as space
Also known
terrorists.
as the good side.
Oh, by the way, it says Nick Cage, right? I have a picture for that.
There he
that is
is,
rich.
Nick Coppola. Goddamn.
oh my god.
Bruh. Holy shit.
Let's continue because the stupidity will only ramp
Swap
up.
after my own heart.
This is going to get even worse.
And we should never express that there's no meaningful difference between Nazis and Allied soldiers, or that they're functionally interchangeable.
Yes,
And before
yes,
anyone
they are. Yes, they are.
Yes,
are
look at
functional-
those fucking
They are functionally
World
and
War One
mechanically
German
same.
soldiers. What the fuck?
No, well, somewhat.
No.
Anyway,
By the way, TLDR mentioned they're saying, you have to make, you have to make them. They don't actually show the swastika in this thing at all. They're trying to shield their viewers from the poor, just
swastika from the symbol of
You know the thing that you're actually trying to mention? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Great
Also,
fucking
they're not
excuse.
even. Yeah, they're not even labeling them as actual Nazis. It just I
That's-
don't. Oh.
it's a nitpick, but you normally all the medals with the Iron Cross they all wear them at the collar, not on the breast like that.
well, do you expect them to be historically accurate? Look at this. They have this is the same picture, only mirrored. That's why one of them has on the left side and the other on the right side.
Oh
They're
my
Oh,
very
yeah.
accurate.
Right.
Yeah, there's no raised eyebrow on the other one.
Yeah, and the mouth is different.
Yeah, and
Also-
the eyes are also this. Oh my! Wait,
Oh my god.
fuck?
No, they're not the same.
but the,
Well,
the-
yeah, they redrew the eyes, but you couldn't fucking flip. Oh my god!
They redrew the face. That's it.
yeah, they're so lazy. Yeah, like people talk shit about Kellogg, but at least Kellogg is not this bad. This is
No,
worse than Kellogg.
they're inconsistent, not lazy. Well, I mean that's the same thing.
There's that, but they also
anyway.
they say that they're not interchangeable. Yes, they are.
You
No,
literally
in
interchange
the
them, you
game.
mongoloid.
Yeah, well, no, I
game.
mean, no, but allies and Nazis, especially in a game, they are, well, especially in a multiplayer game, yeah, they are.
have to be.
They have to be interchangeable. They all have 100 health, and if you shoot them in the head, they die. All of them.
Which
called
is
balancing.
true for people.
Well, I mean, not even just that, but even in World War II, if you shoot somebody in their head, they die.
Nazi
The-
or
or-
I
allied.
spawn,
Yeah.
I die.
Or
I
if you're
spawn,
really lucky
I
in the
die.
yeah.
Also,
This,
if in a historical context, let's not forget that most like of these people were conscripted, and a lot of them didn't care about ideology that much. They were doing what they were told, and they were
for Germany.
Well, I mean,
Well-
because at least in this game, you're playing as the Reichsmark or whatever. So they, a bunch of these people were conscripted. They're not the SS.
yeah,
Yeah,
The SS were
the
like
SS
you know,
were fighting for the party, the Nazis.
yeah. They
The
were
Wehrmacht, pretty much every one of them
SS
were fighting for
hardcore.
Germany, which is
SS
like most people in the South during the Civil War. Most of them didn't have slaves. They were fighting for their part of the country.
Well, all of them who were fighting didn't own slaves because if
Yeah.
you were rich enough to own a slave, you weren't fighting.
yeah. That's anyways. So the thing about it is gonna get stupider.
Equivocates and says not all German soldiers in World War II were Nazis.
Look at this, by the way.
Why is he looking away? The fuck?
Because they are
I don't know.
he looks at the viewer, but the funny thing is that notice that this stereotypical annoying nerd they were making fun of is brown in color. So these white people are just describing this brown nerd for being historically accurate. Yeah, fuck off, you nerd. Who cares about your?
Fuck off, you nerd. We're
Fuck
not
off,
all
you
not all
nit-
Nazis.
Nerd.
Go back to the camp.
Yeah.
Where did
Alright,
you come
keep
from?
going,
Go
keep
back to
going.
the camp.
So you know how actually is like a meme. People, this is
Yeah, they literally do that throughout the
actually-
video.
actually.
It's retarded.
So like, let me show again.
And before anyone equivocates and says not all German soldiers in World War II were Nazis, if they were wearing the swastika and are functioning as an arm of the Nazi government, then unless the game goes out of its way to tell you specifically that your particular character is
No, that's
then
that's
they're
By
not
the
how
way-
that works.
By the way,
You
they
fucking mongoloid.
YouTube never got out of their way to say that extra credits were not pedophilic Nazis, necrophiliacs.
Oh yeah, James.
Who
Let
hates
me get a
blacks?
picture of this fucking faggot while we discuss this.
Who hates blacks nonetheless? They never got out of their way to tell us what they are not. So until
Oh, God.
proof of the contrary, they are
Oh my
all
god! I
those
forgot
things
how
I
hideous this
mentioned
man
and
is.
much more.
Also, you know how this is. By the way, this is. It explains why SJWs, when they produce something, it's so bad because they have no subtlety. They have to explicitly say everything. So you meet someone.
Are not a thing anymore.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, and I'm trans. Did they tell you I'm trans? Because I'm so trans. I'm transier than trans. And yeah, trans. Look at me.
Yeah.
I got my dick
I
chopped
mean-
off. Look at me. I'm so diverse. This is typical writing. This was like in Mass Effect Andromeda. Like literally, you meet someone for the first time, and in one of the first sentences, she says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm trans." Yeah. So I had a dick. I got it chopped off. That's why I went to another galaxy because
What,
of
really? Really?
you haven't heard about that?
No,
I
not
never
at all.
played that game, so
I never played it. I didn't want to hear about it, so I never learned about it.
It was so bad that BioWare had to apologize for this because it was so ham-fisted, so like
What? Hamburger helper?
yeah.
It was
sorry.
ham-fisted hamburger
No.
helper.
I thought we were talking about the bitch who wrote Dragon Age 2.
I don't know, but like it's they hired one of the writers who worked on Andromeda was this bitch who said that virtual rape in GTA Online was a problem.
Oh yeah, that's right. That fucking journalist whack job. I remember now. Oh yeah, that's right. They interviewed her like a bunch of years ago when GTA 5 came out. And they simulate rape by putting a traffic cone over them, and it's clearly the model's glitching out.
It says eerily. You know what? I think that whoever edited this clip just was taking a piss because when she was saying it's eerily realistic, they show a bunch of people dancing with traffic cones on their heads.
Yeah, and also there was
taking a piss.
there was something the pumping motions like oh wow that's if that's how your rape would happen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. That guy probably slipped and died.
Basically, I think whoever edited this clip just decided to take a piss at them because come on, it was really funny. I think it's often people who work on TV stations, they don't share the same ideology. Kind of like not everyone.
Oh no, I can tell you for a fact that the people who do like the day-to-day shit, they don't give a fuck about any of this. It's just a paycheck.
Why do you think we are hearing about all the shitty practices of Facebook? It's because people are leaking
And
this to the
Google.
press.
Google got pissed, not because people found out, but because the contractor possibly leaked sensitive information that they were collecting illegally.
Yeah.
From by Google.
They literally did a Snowden.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing about this is like kind of similar. Like, not everyone who fought on the Germany side in World War II, most of them weren't Nazis. So like most of the people who were
let's not look too closely at the Americans who were fighting and who may have had let's say anti-Semitic
segregationist views.
Yes.
Or that.
Or
the
Patton,
other thing is,
Patton going, we fought the wrong fucking people at the end of the war.
So just roughly looking up
stuff.
Looking up stats, about 10% of the population were actual party members.
Oh yeah,
10%.
And that was when everyone was heavily encouraged to join the party. So joined not because they shared the ideology, but because of the benefits it brought.
Yeah, like not getting fucking stabbed. That's a benefit.
I'm looking at it, basically 1945, that was 8.5 million, and the population was like about 80 million.
Yeah, so it was a tiny percentage. Well, not tiny percentage. It was substantial, but it was still a minority.
Oh.
Anyways, let's continue.
Oh, this got
in that multiplayer shooter, when it switched you to the German side, did it go out of its way to tell you that the person you're playing was pressed into service under threat of their life?
Yeah, because that's what's great about games when it starts lecturing you.
I mean, like,
would we do the same thing with the Allied side? I mean, we had a draft too. So should we then expect the game to tell if you're playing as an American soldier? Oh, hey, you joined to fight World War II willingly as opposed to being drafted. Like, what's the freaking point?
Yeah, not only that, a bunch of Americans were drafted. A bunch of just on all British people were drafted. All kinds of other people were drafted. Number one,
were drafted.
Number two, like, granted, the Allies are better than the Nazis, but the Allies also did some fucked up shit too. Like,
imagine if you play Bomber Crew and it's in the middle of the game. It says, by the way, your pilot actually doesn't agree with the commanding officer about the firebombing of Dresden.
Yeah. Well, at least they didn't firebomb Dresden in it. So,
hey, do you think they'll make a new game, the Enola Gay Simulator?
Oh, that's a different type of game, my friend.
I would.
And then you have there's a pop up where your co-pilot doesn't agree. It's just like, just shut the fuck up.
And that's the thing. Also, look at this. Look at us. We know the gamer memes. We are like, how do you do?
How old is this meme? God damn.
Very
ancient meme from like when
at least a decade
was still like.
So from like 2007.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people still play it, but it's way past its prime nowadays. Like
Well,
nowadays, even the Overwatch is dying off, and Overwatch kind of overtook.
Overwatch fucking died when it released. It's a terrible game.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, last time in our post-stream hangout, we were talking about the anti-smoking commercials with the dated memes
Oh
that came out.
Okay, so 2010 was when this meme came out. God damn.
No, wait. No, it couldn't
Or
be.
at least when Know Your Memes got it. So it could be more than that, but like at least 10 years or 9, but still.
Old
let me
meme.
check it, because
Did it tell you? Did the game get out of their way to say that the allies that you play in the multiplayer didn't do war crimes, which
by the way,
which the player certainly did at some point? Like using weaponry that's way too high, and like I don't know, like a I almost said just a Panzer, a Tiger main cannon to shoot at a lonely soldier.
by the way, speaking of Team Fortress 2, let's not forget how problematic this game is because it reinforces negative cultural stereotypes.
Oh yeah, the fucking achievements for fucking griefing. Oh man, those were the days.
What the what, like the black Scottish drunk?
No, there's literally achievements for causing people to fucking rage quit.
What?
Yes, you didn't know this?
No, because I didn't play. I
Yes!
played it like an hour.
Oh man.
Well, I was talking about ethnic stereotypes. Like, for example, the crazy doctor with questionable ethics is of course German.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course.
And the sniper is Australian. The crazy jingoistic soldier who has several loose American. It's like, if
The engineer's the Texan, which is funny because I know many engineers who are in fact Texan. But anyway,
wasn't like this big. Like, there's a big university like in Houston.
Big universities, a lot of industrial jobs down there. Yeah.
Yeah, like an oil industry that requires a lot of engineers.
Yes, it does.
So I guess it makes sense. Also, since he's an engineer, he makes turrets, and Texas has a gun culture, so like everyone has a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, also like there's some tech.
Guns are
down
fun.
there too.
Everyone should have one.
Yeah, there
They
was
really
a CNN thing. The guy shot a 50 cal, and he didn't like do a few bursts. It's like, oh, it's full automatic. He shot the full belt in a row,
God.
and you saw his face. It's like he understood. It's like, holy shit, that thing is fucking fun. He's like, but since he's on
barrel
CNN,
probably
since
fucking
it's CNN
melted.
No, it didn't. It wasn't like a 700 bullet belt. It was like the 50 bullets.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a small bullet at a shooting range. So it's like he shot it, and it's like
Well,
you see
said
his
it was
face.
a 50 cal, so
Yeah, well, they were doing a show off, so a showing. But yeah, the guy, I don't think it was Podesta or Antica. It was an older CNN correspondent, and you saw his face. He's like, "Oh yeah, that was fun," but I can't show it.
Honestly,
I cannot admit that my programming is in error, or they will tase me again, bro.
Honestly, anybody listening, like, if you have any like super progressive anti-gun fan or like friends, just take them shooting, because that's like one of the things that like turned me around a little bit too.
Even fucking Rachel Maddow likes a shooting range. I know that doesn't make any sense. But
Even fucking Shitrat.
No, she literally met her current fucking girlfriend, whatever, at a shooting range.
Yeah, going to the range is fun. That's what I did on 4th of July.
But I mean, like that's how you turn them around, because like that was one of the things that turned me around. Like I went to the
she still bitches about how no one needs guns, so go figure.
Yeah, well,
some of them actually kind of pivot back and forth on this. Like Bill Maher, for example, his position on gun control kind of swivels back and forth.
How the fuck can he shoot a gun with that giant fucking nose?
Christ.
Well, he did admit one time he does in fact own guns.
Not only that, but you know what? Someone
More like the shotgun from fucking It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
You also have to remember, though, like these people are rich enough that even if they like take away a whole bunch of guns, they're gonna be able to get their hands
still
on
gonna
guns.
have them. Yeah.
Wait, by the way, you know what? If you look at Bill Maher's YouTube channel, who he subscribed to, only a handful of channels, including fucking Forgotten Weapons of all people.
Well, I mean, you know, Forgotten Weapon.
Well,
you-
it's
you
real
can't- you
time with
can't
Bill
beat
Maher. I doubt it. The guy just
Black
does it by
Pigeon
himself.
speaks. Right. Fucking right. I don't believe that at all.
Wait. What do you mean you don't believe? I took this screenshot myself.
I don't know. That's.
I
I think
how-
it's someone running the account as a joke.
No, it's like official account with the tick mark and everything.
All right.
Yeah, but
well,
that's
why
There's
is
so many of those, though.
why
that-
is he fucking subscribed to Black Pigeon? That doesn't make any sense. He's a
He doesn't
cop.
even. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Bill
No.
Maher would be excommunicated by the church of whatever. We
Yeah,
were
the
I
talking
mean, he
church of the
already
left.
has. He's
Well,
still,
yeah, they
he's
are-
still relatively free speech, so they're not.
But he's also
Oh, you
and he's
poor
also
stuff.
anti-vax, so maybe there's.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's continue with this idiocy because we're only 1 minute in. It's gonna get worse. Trust me.
Yeah, EFAP stole
Yeah.
our shtick, by the way.
That's a big old note. Oh, and on a similar note, let's please stop forcing people to play as terrorists as well. There you are, playing your modern shooter, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist. You didn't ask for this, you didn't choose this, and yet
Except
second first, same
you
as the first.
fucking bought the game. Like on CS:GO, it says
Nice.
you can apply
I don't have
terrorist
them
versus
because I'm a
anti-terrorist.
boy. A femboy.
The funny part is that have these people actually played CS? I'll
Probably
tell you
not.
what.
Yeah, because
Nobody
CS:GO,
fucking
you
cares.
are
No,
you are just a
no, wait.
generic terrorist.
Yeah, there is
Wait,
actually a
Hold on,
functional
hold on.
difference in CS:GO. The terrorists plant bombs and blow shit up. The counter-terrorists stop them. There
Wait,
is
hold on, hold on,
literally
hold
what he is asking for
Hold
in
on.
this game.
We should just quote the feminists back to them. This game wasn't meant for you. Extra credits. It's not
Oh
for
my
you. The audience. It wasn't aimed at you. It's not your targeted audience. You're not supposed to. We don't want you to play these games.
You know, it's funny how when you say target audience when talking about a shooting game. This is one of the terrorist factions. It's called Elite Crew, like one
Kind of like,
crew with a K, and like it was the very first terrorist group that was added to the game, and like look at this like description: Middle Eastern fundamentalists based on world domination and other evil deeds. Yeah, that sounds like a real terrorist organization. Yeah, that's the official description. By
Yeah,
the way.
they're really fucking generic. That's the point. It doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, the thing is that like it's obviously.
Actually, no. Go down.
Yeah.
Go down and Counter-Strike. The originally light-skinned man with a flat top,
The fuck.
and then it slowly changes.
Yeah, like
So they was white people, and
Well,
then they went dark.
well, first of all, let's
They
not
got
forget
blackwashed. My
that- oh,
N-word.
the first Counter-Strike was based on the gold source engine, and it had so little fidelity that you couldn't discern facial features much. And
No, but there's talking about the fucking skin tone.
yeah, but even now the skin tone is kind of light. Look at this; it's kind of still.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that's.
He looks like a white guy. Yeah.
Well, it's like
Yeah,
Middle Eastern. They're not like like they're.
And there are light-skinned people in the Middle East, my friend.
Yeah.
There are more
yeah,
than
They're
just
still
Arabs
considered
there.
POC. Just ask Rashida Tlaib and that fucking other bitch. Whatever. her
Look at
name
this!
is.
It's like a first model from
Pajama-clad
the game.
Arab.
You know, this
Jesus.
looks like Tony Stark. Kind of.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically,
Insane.
like the original name was Duracell.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay, so I'm not
remember, this is
insane.
like fucking '90s Valve. They did not give a shit.
I was gonna say it looks like Gordon Freeman from Half-Life, and lo and
Because it-
behold, there it is.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's the same model,
literally.
just slightly tweaked. Because it used to be like a I mean, it was developed as a mod for Half-Life. So
Yeah.
But yeah, look at this. Does this if you play as they say, world domination and other evil deeds. So they're not saying that the terrorists are the good guys. They show that
You don't fight for a source. It's literally round by round. It's just like, hey, your goal is to pose a bomb, and that's it. Literally, all they want to do is a name change, which is nothing to do. It's just go. It's not even.
Well, no, in
It's for
CS:GO,
extra
it is
credit
more than a name
fees.
change because you get different fucking guns. You
Well,
get different
no,
objectives.
no. Wait, even in the first CS, terrorists and counter-terrorists had different gun selection. It was
Yeah,
always
that's what I
different.
mean.
And also, if you look, they will say that these games portray terrorists and counter-terrorists as mutually, interchangeable, which is not true, because terrorists have to, plant bombs and blow shit up and prevent hostages from being rescued. Counter-terrorists have to prevent bombs from being blown up and have to rescue hostages. So it's very different.
Thank
And-
you.
I mean,
I've literally said
not
that about
only
3
that.
times now.
Wait, hold on. Not only that, but they literally call them in the game terrorists. Like most terrorists would say like they're freedom fighters or they're fighting for all, some other shit. They wouldn't call themselves terrorists.
We are the terrorists.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
most terrorists don't think of themselves as terrorists.
We will be greeted as liberators.
Yeah, that's
Or
the
is
thing.
it, I think it's not somewhat of a meme that a one-man terrorist is the other's a freedom fighter.
Yeah, I was about to
Well,
say, do
no,
you think the
that's
Weather
reality.
Underground?
I mean, that is the reality.
Yeah.
They think they're
Do you
trying
think the
to,
Weather? Yeah, do you think the Weather Underground consider themselves terrorists? Do you think the
ISIS?
IRA consider themselves terrorists?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
They
they
consider themselves drunk.
the IRA, the FLQ.
Yeah, the RAF, not the Royal Air Force, but the Red Faction Army. Well, they were less terrorists and more just organized crime because they.
What would that cult in Japan, Shirinko?
Oh, the fucking God.
Amshan Rican, Rikyo. Yeah, the thing is Jesus Christ. Those guys were fucking crazy.
Yeah. By the way, the fun fact is that a lot of members were software developers and similar, for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yes, the incel uprising.
Yeah. By the way, yeah. I said in the beginning that gamers should rise up because we're being oppressed by this.
We
Hey,
really
Greg,
are.
I just realized you had you basically had the same glasses as the terrorist you showed.
Also, this is nuts. These nuts.
Nuts.
Okay,
Come on, you're not an historical figure, the Mr. Gamer guy. You do not have the epicness of the commander. It's just like, oh yeah, surrender, just nuts.
Yeah, you don't even say the N-word during heated game moment.
Or
No.
here's the solution: back out of the game and keep trying till you play on the faction that you want to play as.
No, because mommy.
Let's play theirs because it's getting worse. Trust me.
It is. I mean, that's literally the name of your side in the game. We can do better than this. Even if you put
Yeah, we can be good. Let's call them freedom fighters, and let's call counter-terrorists the oppressive. How is doubles call those
Being politically correct about fucking terrorism.
Let's
fucking
call
amazing.
So yeah, let's call terrorists the righteous warriors and the counter-terrorists the dirty infidel pigs.
side, all of the people who have had traumatic experiences with these groups, who have
Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Who fucking who? It's not even. It's like, oh, it's terrorists. It's literally generic terrorism. They're simulating.
It's funny how if you are triggered by terrorism, don't play Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like
hey,
Yeah, like they fucking. Oh god.
well, even games where you specifically fight terrorists, it's considered problematic. Hey, remember 3 years ago when the guys who made Hatred released another game, ISIS Fighter it was? And people were bashing that as being Islamophobic, even though you're fighting ISIS. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
No, because I really don't care about those developers.
Well, I mean, considering that, like, what a bunch of European countries want to, or like the press and all these other people are like, oh, we should totally invite back all these former ISIS fighters. Yeah, they should totally come back in the country.
Well, just since we mentioned this game,
Farted.
That's a pretty new nuclear fart that he did there. I think he ate Taco Bell like 15 minutes ago.
yeah, like yeah.
Radioactive
His name
Taco
is important. His smell is. But yes, like if you
Is
have,
Ismail or sniff my smell?
yeah. Yeah,
All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
who have had generations of their families wiped out by Nazis. No one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they
200,000 of them.
Oh, speaking of
Nobody fucking forced you to play the goddamn game.
you know,
I love this strong, independent, black humanoid. The fuck is this?
Oh
no,
yeah.
what is
By the way, something that was they're gonna talk about what was it?
Nigga got two right hands.
What's the other game? That we're gonna talk. Fuck it.
Battlefield,
Siege, yeah, Rainbow Six
Oh.
Siege. They're gonna talk about it in a while. So I'm gonna
Oh,
do
their
my
take
thing.
on that
Dan.
is fucking retarded.
but by the way, you know what is expectations, and this is reality.
Gabore Sibabe.
Yeah, that's actually like she's been in stuff.
But the funny thing is that they assume that black people don't want to play as Nazis. Like, why not?
What? I mean, wait, hold on.
There are
This
half of them
game-
already wear fucking.
Yep.
You shut up.
I saw a high school production of The Sound of Music, and they had a black Nazi in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, but like, you're telling black people that hey, you couldn't wear Hugo Boss, really?
I'll just leave this here.
Wait, hold on.
Look at
The
him.
other thing.
Look at how fucking happy he is.
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, this also again is like Star Wars put what was it? There's like the black woman. You can play as the black woman. There's a black character or whatever who's on the Empire side, like, or like in some of the other Battlefield games where you can play as a black Nazi woman or something like that. It's like,
Well, I mean, diversity is Nazi's strength. You know,
I mean, the SS were pretty diverse. I mean, they came from pretty much every European country and then some, like from the Caucasus. I think
Yeah,
even as far as India.
I remember this one.
Yeah, Paul versus Huffington
Howard.
Post. So,
Is
and
any
they're
of Paul
like,
actually white? No, that's the joke. None of
Yeah.
them are. You
Yeah.
idiot.
it's mostly just
It's all Jews,
role
blacks.
playing.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's continue.
Find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game. And by making people do so, we get them to stop thinking about it, to stop thinking of the meaning behind these things. We normalize them. We make them just window dressing for entertainment. Those uniforms, those symbols become things that no longer...
Look, what uniforms look pretty good. Compare
That's literally
uniforms
just a
to Nazi-
World War One uniform at that point. Like
Wait,
Even
top.
before that.
not only that,
Even-
but wait, hold on. The hat, or not the hat, the helmet is.
Helmet.
No. That helmet existed
gross?
in World War One.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's a
know.
skull
So
helmet.
just like.
Well, not, and the Iron Cross has existed since the time of the Teutonic Order in the 1200s.
And again, is used currently by the German armed forces.
Yeah.
It's gonna be irrelevant later also.
See, this is where they're cowards. They don't even show the actual swastika.
Yeah, because I guess they want
Because
to
they're
be shown
cucks.
in Germany, because in Germany there's really stupid laws that you cannot show swastikas.
Except not quite
They
any.
can't even-
Well,
nobody
video
can
games
blur it
got around
out.
that
Can-
now.
At the
No,
very
well,
least,
I
you can
remember-
blur it out.
Well,
But,
they
like,
change it
actually
because...
show, like, actually try to show the symbol. You fucking cowards.
Well, even in Germany, even like when the first Wolfensteins came into Germany, they were banned because even though you're fighting the Nazis, we can't be showing those
Show
symbols.
the actual, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're literally shooting them. It's like you just it's
In Hearts of Iron 4, in the vanilla game, it's just the Iron Cross on the red flag. You need the mod to get the actual swastika.
yeah,
By
and
the
that's
way,
that was so they were able to sell it in Germany.
you know what? This requires me to play this video. You know which one?
Oh God,
Oh,
do it.
It's one of my favorite videos on YouTube ever. Like only 15 seconds, and it's fucking amazing.
Lieutenant. Am I glad you're not around to see this?
This is literally the first result when you search modern World War II games. It's by Flipping Ding Dong. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Just,
Also, I don't know. Does playing fucking Subnautica makes you a fucking diver? I wished.
No, it makes you scaly. I don't know. Fuck it.
So does playing Skyrim actually make me a Dovahkiin?
well,
No, it makes you a
Skyrim,
faggot.
speaking of Skyrim, you know that in Skyrim you can join the Dark Brotherhood and become a hired assassin, or you can join, and you can join the Thieves Guild and become a thief.
Nazi!
So yeah.
Normalizes theft.
In Fallout 3, you can literally assist Eden in poisoning the entire wasteland.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, again, the other thing is, again, they if people were mentioning GTA, and in that they basically became that lawyer against violent video games, and they didn't shoot themselves in the foot; they shot themselves in the head. That is what
I don't
Extra Credit
remember
did.
if it's a flying term, but I think that normalizing your flight usually just becoming level. So it's like normalize this. You just see a plane getting on level.
Has different meanings depending on context. For example,
it finally happened. He got booted from his shitty internet.
Huh? Oh, it was broken heart.
It's a wonder how it's broken hearted get kicked out all the time. It's as if he has the Puerto Rican internet.
You should rename yourself.
They have the internet in Puerto Rico.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Ouch.
Yes,
we'd have to ask Stryker, but he's muted himself for a bit. He's been like that for a while.
Let's watch the rest, because the rest will get even dumber. Trust me, this can get dumber.
Yeah, I don't have much time left, so keep going. I'm going to leave after this.
They inherently revolt us. They reduce our visceral reaction to seeing the embodiment of these ideologies. Now, does this make us totally ignore the history that comes with them? No. But for some people, it moves them from the territory of revolting to just edgy. It makes scrawling a swastika on something change from unthinkable to just...
Pause. Go down. There's a comment that says, "Oh, we weren't saying that it turns you into Nazis."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go through this comment. You know the funny thing about this, I have to intervene here because, first of all, notice how they want people to have unthinking, emotional, revolting reaction towards Nazism. It's never a good idea to have a unreasonable, emotional, totally visceral, totally devoid from logic and reason reaction to anything.
Shut up, Goy.
Because that's the problem. They want literally the 2-minute hate towards Emmanuel Goldstein from 1984. That's literally what's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, because again, the other thing is, because again, Antifa is out there. Like, anybody who's to the right of Stalin is a Nazi, and they want that visceral reaction.
Yeah, and this is what happens.
Well, considering, except even the economical stuff, Stalin was pretty right wing.
Well,
no.
Well, he's right wing by today's standards.
Well, of course.
Yeah. The funny thing is that that's the irony, because fascism is a inherently left-wing ideology. Like fucking Mussolini, he was a hardcore leftist all his life. He used to be a high-ranking member of the Socialist Party, and then when he was booted out, he decided to make his own socialism with black shirts and hookers.
Yeah.
well, I mean, I would say it's like very authoritarian centrist, generally.
Yeah,
but
it's more.
It
It has a slight. Fascism itself has a tendency
It's
toward the right, but it's extreme authoritarianism.
We've been through this. It's a third position ideology. It's economically to the left, but very socially and culturally to the right.
Yeah, but when it comes to economics, if you look at all the prominent theoreticians of fascism, all of them were syndicalists. And syndicalists.
Yes, I know. I said economically left, culturally right.
That's a very interesting kind of conundrum, because some people call them like conservative, but they were not conservative. They were it's romanticism when they don't try to make the stuff be like it used to be. They want to make stuff like they think it used to be in the past, which is where.
Speaking of dictators, one just logged on. Hello, James.
Oh, hello there, present to everyone.
Who's your daddy?
All right, let's continue the video.
Yeah.
God.
Speaking of
Dark Raider.
since Darth Vader is here, let me just show this. This used to be my profile picture on Facebook. There's an interesting history behind that. So I had a heated argument with one guy who called me a Nazi. So I decided, well, let's own it. I'm literally Hitler, and I got zucked for this because apparently, because Facebook is run by literal fascists. They don't want people to make fun of their dear leader. So it is bad for me. So I got zucked.
Yeah, apparently any image of Hitler is automatically zucked on Facebook.
Yeah, it's
just like any meme calling Zuck an alien or an android or whatever is
monitored.
Zucked.
It's not Zuck. They were actually going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's play the rest. This is so fucking stupid. Also, imagine playing a game and it makes you draw swastikas on sleeping tigers.
Yeah,
Sleeping
it's like,
tigers.
yeah, just
That's not
spray
a tiger.
painting.
That's a cat.
Well, no, there's a tiger.
Just spray painting on a.
Oh god, yeah, I saw this video.
Just spray painting on a cat in general. That's dangerous. No, it doesn't even have to be a swastika. It could be a communist symbol, and you would still get fucked.
Oh, by the way, fun fact. There was a game Persona 2, and one of the final bosses was literally Hitler. But the funny thing is that Hitler wasn't even the final boss. He was the penultimate boss. And Joe Vargas should probably know that penultimate doesn't mean the very best. Penultimate means one from the last. So it's the one before the last. Because apparently Joe Vargas is Angry Joe, aka Pissed Jose. He thinks that penultimate is the best because he said, "Oh, Skyrim is the penultimate Western RPG." Because apparently penultimate Western RPG would mean that there will be one more RPG in the West after Skyrim, and that's all. No more RPGs ever. Which would be
Actually, no, there is a context thing to it. I mean, penultimate does mean like the one before the final, but it also is like the one just before the most extreme.
Yeah, but no.
Still,
a lot of people think that penultimate means the best, which it doesn't.
Just say the ultimate. That would just say, oh, okay, that's the best.
Penultimate is like the ultimate sin. At least among leftists, is having your own opinion. The penultimate sin is thinking you shouldn't hit somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
Anyway, we should keep going.
Also, yes, yeah. But so literally Hitler was penultimate boss. So when they localized this game for Western audiences, they decided that image of Hitler might be a bit offensive. So they decided to disguise him. You know how?
They gave him cool glasses.
Yeah, look at this. Recognize him.
You take when you're trying to hide. It's when you get banned from Twitter and you come back like 15 minutes later. There's a guy with the same guy with glasses, and it's like Hitler, cooler Hitler.
Oh, but it's like I know this works for Clark Kent, but I mean, come on, we all know what this is.
This is a Hollywood logic when you rob a bank with sunglasses on.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you think if he, with that length of hair at that time, and you think if he shaved his mustache, he'd look a bit like a David Shitrat.
Oh, speaking of
nothing wrong. What did the timeline? Nothing wrong.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, good.
Speaking of Shitrat, well.
Oh wow!
You know how he likes to call everyone a fascist?
Who did that? Is it Poke Hentai that did that?
No, I did that.
You did? Oh,
yeah.
No, it's right. Pokeanti just puts David's face on porn.
Holy crap! So he actually tweeted your tweets are very wow.
Yes.
Yep.
Unironically.
He's trying. Well, I think no. I don't think it's unironic. I think he's trying. He was trying to be edgy. It's like, yeah, when you hold people to unreasonable standard, people are gonna hold yourself to this one too.
Yeah, he calls everything a Nazi dog whistle. So
Yeah. Him and Cancer Points think there's Nazis dog whistles everywhere. Yet those are the only two who can hear them apparently.
For some
Ex-
reason.
Except for everyone who said Trump using globalists was like some sort of anti-Semitic dog whistle.
It's. I don't think he used it as a anti-Semitic dog whistle.
yeah, but some people said that. Well, some people said that when he called L. Frankenstein, it was anti-Semitic because
What?
Stein.
Oh.
Oh my
they
god!
are grasping
What?
at straws.
Yeah, but even just talking about George Soros funding all these leftist groups is considered an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Even though he literally finances them.
He doesn't even hide this. He admits to it.
It's
How is it?
those
He also admits to have been a Nazi collaborator
yeah,
and
that's
doesn't
right.
regret any of it.
Well, he probably regrets that he didn't, nickel and dime them because, let's not go there. Let's continue.
Thing changed from unthinkable to just dangerous. It means you might not take iron crosses all over a website as a warning sign that you.
If you go to some, antique dealer who sells World War II memorabilia, and there are like iron crosses all over the place because that's the merchandise.
Also,
become
apparently, also if it was a either German or just generic heavy metal website of a group.
Or a biker website because
But you know what the best part about this whole thing though is? If you look at the pinned comment on the video, it says, "We are not saying that playing video games makes you Nazis."
Yep.
On a
Except
video
you.
that
That
says
literally
playing
says.
video games makes you a Nazi.
We watched the video, you idiots.
Oh.
Look
Well,
at
the main point is, it's desensitizing you to Nazism. So therefore,
Desensitizing you to
No, I mean, that's literally what
end?
they're saying,
It's
though.
like,
by the way, you know how
That's
this
basically what they're saying.
But look at this. This makes Ben Garrison's cartoons subtle in comparison.
stupid.af/hate.
Garbage.
I don't think you will become a Nazi when you go to a website that's called stupid.af and it says garbage on the screen.
We should do a test. We should literally make that website and see if we make more Nazis.
So,
Sure.
so you're saying we should see if you can make more Nazis?
Hey, I have some HTML. I can do some crappy one for the website.
You are
The more deep fried, the better, my dude.
No, all you would need to do is just take that picture right there, and that's the only thing.
Yes.
That picture.
Yeah.
Garbage. It almost can pass as modern art. Like garbage and nothing else. And three iron crosses.
It's just garbage everywhere.
Well, modern art is garbage, so.
Garbage day. My Damen und Herren.
Okay, let's continue.
You should immediately leave, and if you don't leave, you might start reading and buying into hateful ideas there.
Wait. Hold on. So that basically
Literally.
means. Hold on. That means that what ContraPoints, whenever she goes and looks at, to get material, that she's turning into a Nazi. Like this. None of this makes any.
Yeah,
goddamn
you
sense.
might buy in something. So literally, they would be for, well, what the Nazis did, the burning of books to prevent people from being exposed to those vile ideas. That's
And
literally what the
harmful
Nazis
opinions.
did. Burning books, banning them, preventing anyone from reading them.
The funny thing about this is there are two possibilities. Either they think that gamers are so brain dead that they believe literally anything they read, or
they think that
ideology is so compelling and so persuasive that merely reading it will make you a Nazi.
They think that they think that everyone is as brain dead as them.
Oh,
that's the subtlety. I don't remember what it was the name. There was the something projection. It's basically you think that everyone is as in general you assume that people are as smart as you. So, depending on your level, you can assume that people are on a certain level.
And by the way, the other thing is like with this irrational hate and all this, that reminds me of that Tyler Boyce guy or whatever who took a picture of the heavy metal band T-shirt. It's like, oh hey, by the way, he's got like he's got a German flag, like a modern German flag on his hat. This is a Nazi, and like literally what, like 200-300 people.
That dude is a fucking is like in the middle of Toronto or Ottawa. It's like, dude, that guy is a German tourist.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's and there was a hanged man on the shirt. It's like, oh,
Right,
it's a
and
lynching.
he called that a lynching, but there's nobody surrounding the person. It's just somebody who hung themselves, probably.
Yeah, so
it's they
it
don't
was
they
a-
don't know the
it was a
difference
band
between
logo.
getting lynched and just being hanged.
Yeah.
What is with all these people being so concerned about? Okay, maybe about their whole fear is that people get desensitized to playing games, and eventually they might visit, I don't know, some fucking alt-right or neo-Nazi site and automatically start just buying in on face place.
These people,
but do these people forget that our government lies to people all the time and people just believe it?
Yeah.
Even more so than fucking Nazis. And what's really the bigger concern here?
I'd say they don't concern themselves with that, but also those people they just especially think, oh, they're dumb, they're gonna get indoctrinated by everything. They basically, if you plug the DVI cable in their ass, you would have a cinema. What's the name? Those cinema that you stayed in cars. I forgot the name.
The drive-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drive-in. Basically, they are a personification of a drive-in projector. You plug a DVI cable in there, you could do a projection for a whole scene.
The funny thing is, this is more or less projection on them because it was the far left who accepted all these asinine grievance studies as fact and republished them, even though they were just bullshitting the whole fucking time.
Yeah. Or
They're
they
the ones who believe
even
stupid
accepted a
shit.
lot of articles that were made to be bullshit. They took like lines from fucking Mein Kampf or something.
Yeah,
that was
they're the
horrific,
ones who literally
and they switch words, and it's like, look at that. Those people, it's like that thing is fucking horrific, and they're just like,
they're
oh,
the
no,
ones who literally accept Nazi propaganda, so long as you just put feminists replace the anti-Semitism with feminist ideological talk.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep watching a little bit
more
into this.
This is going to get even dumber.
Small and simple thing. But it's things like this that erode our safeguards against dangers we sacrifice so much to fight. By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, their voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends. By the 1,000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them, neither of which helps the global crisis we have that takes thousands of lives every year.
So basically...
Wait,
doing
video
nothing
games
wouldn't
have
do
to
shit.
save
Okay,
the world?
first of all, making fun of things works. You know why India spent they spent a few $1,000s on installing a bunch of public toilets? It's because we were memeing them about street shitting.
Yeah,
and they didn't like it. So it works.
One of the people trying to get people to use the public toilets was beaten to death for trying to get people to use the public toilets.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but the memeing worked. They're trying to fix
Fix
the
it.
problem because they don't like the memes.
Wow, I
shit.
did not know
Oh
about
my god!
that.
I just realized it's like, no shit. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is also, it's like, okay, if you make Nazis, like, you joke about Nazis and make them a laughing stock, then nobody's gonna take them seriously. Like, if you make, like, nobody's gonna take them seriously. And that's good.
That's the point of laughing about ideologies like that.
Because,
It's
yeah,
like,
because they
that's
shouldn't be
what-
taken
What do you
seriously.
think caricatures of Nazis were for? All the
Yeah, exactly.
the Disneys, all the Disney with Donald Duck doing
Even U.S.
doing Nazi
propaganda,
shit.
too. U.S. propaganda during World War II. Like, making Hitler into a baby. Is that... I mean...
Yeah, this.
I mean, basically, the only reason why they want people to take Nazis like super seriously is so they can sell them fear. That's the only reason why.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
It's for hysteria, manufactured hysteria.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going, I guess. What?
Oh, by the way, speaking of fear, you know how why every single authoritarian likes to fearmonger? Because this is called no, don't remember who coined the term amygdala hijack. Basically, when you scare people, they are more likely to uncritically follow the leader and to cling to someone who promises them safety. And
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's literally what Antifa does. Like, these people are communists. We're protecting you from. Or, sorry, these people are fascists. Well, we're protecting you from the dirty fascists, while they're a genocidal ideology in of themselves.
You did a little lapsus there.
Anyways,
remind me of this, by the way.
Oh.
Like, is freedom more important than safety? And
yep.
Well, people don't learn from history.
What was it? Especially people, it's like liberty, justice, and freedom. They would rather kill 10 innocents to get one guilty man.
But can you post that picture?
People thought of it. I talked about it, and I've seen a video about it, and I just realized that was the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. The God said, hey, find one not guilty man in that town, and I'm not gonna destroy it.
Anyways, let's continue because this is okay.
So what do we do? That's easy.
Oh, by the way, before we continue, remember how it says, "Oh, just this doesn't help the problem we're facing with terrorism." Well, just because it doesn't help to solve the problem doesn't mean it makes it worse. I mean, we are not helping.
It doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, it's like
if you're not against Trump, then you're for him. This is the level of retard
Well, I mean,
we're dealing with.
This actually reminds me.
Well, that was
retarded point.
I think one of their gaming like whatever other videos, the non-history ones, were like, oh, games can like change the world and stuff like that. Oh, I see how we're going about this. You just want to use it as a fucking propaganda machine, basically.
Well, in this case, don't let them play games like Angry Goy or Mod Moon Man, the Moon.
That game, Ethnic Cleansing.
Nobody would play this because it crashes all the time. Level design is utter shit. At least Moonman is well made, and all the sprites are nice, and sound bites are funny. So it's even Angry Goy has a consistent aesthetic and art style. So there's that.
Unlike extra credit.
All right, I'm gonna have to get off, guys.
Oh, thanks for staying with us.
I'll have to get out soon too. I have to go to work.
Oh,
See
you
guys
do?
later.
That sucks. See ya, broken heart.
Bye. Oh, let's continue. Oh,
yeah, I'll stay on until another 15 minutes till my friends get here.
All right. Well, let's power through this. Ugh.
Don't make them morally equivalent. Don't make there be no in-game moral difference between your Nazis and your allies.
Look at this dirty face. They should be different.
It should be different. It's like why do you want to install morality, especially in a multiplayer shooter?
Yeah.
The goal is to shoot each other. It's already it's already a war. It's like, don't put people down. It's supposed to be entertainment.
I know those are supposed to be like frowny eyebrows, but all I see is like her eyes are closed and she's crying.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They should be different.
Well,
why are the eyebrows so fucking big?
Well, I mean, look at her. She doesn't have any tits. I would be crying too if I was her.
Did you just assume her gender? Did you just fucking assume her gender?
Did you just trigger me?
Problematic as fuck. All right, let's
I'd be more concerned about the fact she has no fucking arms and what her gender is.
Yeah, like floating.
Yeah, don't worry. Her cousin is Rayman.
Yeah.
Between your terrorists and your
Speaking of
counter-terrorists.
big titties.
Frame PvP as a training exercise.
Yeah, look at this.
Literally. Okay, Glebs, do me a
Huh?
quick favor. Go look up Counter-Strike for Kids.
Is there a thing?
Yes. Go up. Should
Well,
be a video.
up is
Oh, my bad. To the yeah. Counter-Strike for Kids. Yes. Click on that first video. You can watch it here. It don't matter.
Well, it's an SFM.
Wait a minute.
Oh, it's a different one.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, hold on. I'll look for it.
This one, Machinima Counter-Strike for Kids.
I
So
think
you're
this is
having
it.
your kids
Yes, this is it.
Oh God.
play violent video games like Counter-Strike? Are you fed up with children using rude language like this?
Put up, down, you noob. Do you sick uninstall the game?
I don't even know what that means.
Pick up a real gun. Pick up a real gun.
A wheel gun? Only 8 years old and he's already talking about drive-bys. I've done the research and determined the cause. Violent video games. Fortunately, there's an alternative. Counter-Strike for Kids. Yeah! With this video game...
Clone World!
Yes.
Perfect.
This is a classic, dude.
First of all, there's that.
It gets better.
Basically what they were showing as the
that's
the video.
immediately
It
what
was
I thought of.
no, but what they were showing. Well, first there was that. It's
No,
literally
let it play.
Fortnite. It was literally Fortnite that they were
Let
showing.
it play though. Yeah. Let it play. It gets better.
Counter-Strike, it makes it kid-friendly, so the youth of the world don't have to be subjected to terrorism. Unless they watch the news. Check out what you can do. Throw a Pokeball. Have a pillow fight.
Pillow fight!
Have water gun battles without the sticky mess of regular water gun battles. Puppies! Play leapfrog. Take a
I'm really
nap.
sleepy. I have to take a nap now.
Celebrate a birthday.
It's one of CT's birthday today.
Put the birthday cake in his house. Birthday party.
Surprise! Yay! Happy birthday!
You know what this reminds me of? Like a typical multiplayer in Gmod.
Yeah. I mean, this is back in 08 when that shit was all over the place.
Yeah, but like literally normal playthrough of Gmod online.
Yeah. Yep.
Play on sets made of Legos.
This is not a real gun.
Please defuse the candle.
Pretend you're playing the real Counter-Strike. Wish you were older.
I'm 14!
Use an axe to cut down a tree. Stare. Stare. Doesn't this look like fun?
It's fine!
To order, call the number on your screen. And as an added bonus, if you call within the next 15 minutes, we'll throw in
Counter-Strike Extreme Core Edition. Not your dad's kind of game. CS for kids, more like CS for pussies. Actually, in my experience, the two are synonymous. And I know because I play CS Extreme. Fire will find out where you live and go to your house when you sleep and shit in your mouth. Rated M for manly.
You know, this reminds me of like you know those Brutal Doom, Brutal Quake.
Yeah, this is a parody of that.
All of this came true. Holy shit.
Yeah, it really did.
Oh my god! Did you see that? Did you see that? Look at that bullshit! Look, cut him up! Oh my god! Holy shit! Jesus Christ! You're this goddamn flag off!
And now back to George Lopez.
Okay.
This is the ending skit. It's actually funny.
Hey, George Lopez!
Okay, let's
Yeah, we should finish that after the stream. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost over, but yeah, let's finish this video because
Counter-Strike for Kids!
Yeah, pretty much. Look at this. It's like Hello
I
Kitty.
legitimately want that fucking knife pillow as a skin in CS:GO.
This is literally
with the sound
Fortnite.
effects.
That's literally Fortnite.
Oh, but by the way, CS:GO has weapon skins, so they might be
I want someone to submit the fucking knife pillow.
Well, I mean,
You know what? I'm gonna make a knife pillow.
Yeah. Anyways, let's go there because the stupidity will not succeed.
Wow! Look, the Japanese men are crying.
Or simply take one of your non-odious sides and recolor them so that it's red versus blue, rather than
Hey, wait, they just said one of your non-odious side.
First of all, what's the point of making a World War II themed game if it's like red versus blue? Play fucking Halo or Unreal Tournament or whatever.
Yeah.
People play World War II themed games because of World War II themes.
Well, even Unreal Tournament, the tournament is in the context of a fucking war.
Oh wow! Excellent.
Oh, this is so stupid.
Axis versus allies. A good example of a game that does this is Rainbow Six Siege. All of your bomb diffusion and hostage rescue multiplayer with no normalizing terrorists. In fact, by having all of the characters as counter-terrorists training for a possible threat, it highlights how real and present of a threat that is.
How?
It's also
because they're training. Because if they
no.
weren't training, that would show they wouldn't have need of it. Which
Rainbow
is
Six is not training. You kill people in that game.
Yeah, it's like you use real explosive, real bullets. It's yes, it's framed as a just for the context.
It's not even a training exercise, really.
It is, yeah. It is pitting the teams of counter-terrorist, the special forces worldwide.
Well, first of all, I have one question.
It's more pitted as a competition.
Wait, stop.
A competition to blow each other's fucking heads off with
guys, chill.
I wanted to ask. Look, first of all, let's compare. One depiction shows actual terrorists attacking, and you have to stop them. Other depiction shows you training for a possible attack of terrorists. Which one shows that the terrorist threat is more looming and more present? The one that depicts actual terrorists, or the one that depicts training towards preventing potential terrorism?
Also, as they said, it's like, it's putting the you don't have to. You just it's a training game where it's like all the German special forces. I don't remember their name in Rainbow Six Siege. They all have Iron Crosses medal. They all have Iron Crosses on their insignia at least. So it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
No, yeah, there's like, this is so stupid. Also, because they don't draw arms properly, I don't know what is going on here with the left one. Looking at the phone, or what the hell?
It's a case. It's a case.
Oh, this stupid art style. Ugh.
And if you decide that you need to have both,
this should say now
because it's a World War II.
This is where it gets even worse.
Because it's a World War II game.
Sides be playable. Don't make them interchangeable. Don't have players randomly spawn in as one or the other. Allow players to choose which side they're on.
Now, well, first of all, in Counter-Strike you can choose normally.
Yeah. Depending which one has space, but okay, so it's like, make them choose. Is like they want to put the political thing before making it fun.
Yeah,
that's this of it, because they're gonna talk about artificially raising the wait time because less people will want to play.
Like I said, it gets worse from here on out.
This is the.
Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, this is really where it gets downer.
Now, of course, this has all sorts of in-game problems, such as creating shorter wait times for fascists. But
how do you know? Why do you think that people wouldn't want to play as fascists?
The only reason why I want to play Germans in most World War II games is because they have cooler guns. I want to play it with. I want to shoot the motherfucking MG42.
Yeah,
I would like to shoot the Gewehr 43.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want
The
to
German army had really interesting guns. So that's, I mean,
And also they have cooler uniforms.
yeah, and their tank. Well, the tanks were kind of mixed bag. They were really advanced, but also had some really weird. Well, the
Yeah,
problem.
where they had weird designs like the fucking tiger with the flat part on the front. It's like, what the fuck is your fucking problem, Germany?
Yeah.
Well, from what I heard, the Soviet T-34 was still better than most German tanks in the war.
Well, the difference was like, for some reason, well, I know why they did it, but it was not a good design decision. They made they used airplane engines for tanks, and it's not best. I mean, of course, if you mass producing airplane engines, you can use them cheaper on tanks, but airplane engines are made to be lightweight first and foremost because they have to. And when you make something lightweight, you sacrifice the durability and.
Yeah, plus
For
airplanes
tanks, it's not a
just
good idea
don't
to make
have
them.
enough torque.
Yeah, they had a lot of problem with torque on the heavier tanks. The
Yeah.
Tiger, even the Porsche Tiger, it's like one of the many problems is what it was too heavy for its engine, so it would spontaneously combust. Well, it would not the whole thing, but the engine would catch fire quite easily.
And also, they didn't they use easily flammable fuel? Because
Yes.
Soviet tanks used diesel fuel, and diesel fuel, it's hard to make it to set it on fire. Harder than whatever Germans used. I think they used gasoline, so
For planes, I know they used some of them use benzene.
well, probably kerosene. Kerosene also
Yeah, a lot of
goes up in
kerosene.
flames really easily.
Yeah,
Diesel fuel, not so much. So that's why German tanks, they could go up in flames really easily. Soviet tanks, not so much. So that's big difference, big advantage. Well, anyways,
You know what? Those wait times could be artificially extended if it meant players had an active choice in what teams they would represent. If you're saying we need people playing Nazis in our game,
A team, the fucking Nazis, World War II Nazis don't exist. They don't exist anymore.
First of all, their solution is so retarded it wouldn't even solve the problem.
The problem is to fuck the game. To fuck the game up.
So
Yeah, no, hold on, because I've actually seen this video. You have to actually let this next few minutes actually play uninterrupted for it to really sink in.
But anyway, I need to go. I have to get to work in 5 minutes.
Thanks for staying with us.
See ya.
Yep, see ya.
But I want to just, before we continue, I want to say that they say that we should let people choose, and they assume that people wouldn't want to play as Nazis, and that's why the waiting line for Nazis would be quicker. So this would encourage people to play for Nazis. So they are saying that basically what it is that this would balance itself out. Their solution doesn't.
And artificially inflating the wait time is bullshit because the match doesn't start until everybody's ready.
Yeah.
And then everybody starts at the same time.
Wait, not only that. You know what? Let me just point to that. They say that if you allow players to choose the side, very few people would play as Nazis. So their solution is to make playing as Nazis even less appealing. So nobody would play as Nazis. And if there's only one side in a war, there is no war. So the game is cancelled. And how is this a solution? How did they even write this, then record this, make a video, and nobody actually stopped to think about this? Because this makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It's the most dumb, retarded shit ever. Just, I'm fucking triggered. Let's continue, because the stupidity. Oh, the stupidity.
to say, but we need it for historical reasons, then your game better actually be historical. You can't really just hide behind the fact you called your desert map El Alamein and say, but it's historical. If that were the case, you need your PvP to at least represent real historical events and be a realistic take on those battles. Once you make both sides balanced, it's also no longer historical. And you can't really say that you need Nazis anymore for historical accuracy.
So basically what they're saying is that if you are not completely 100% historically accurate, you should not even try to be historically accurate.
And a 100% historically accurate game, there would be no who wins the match because only one side could win the match every fucking time.
Also, I don't even...
Do these fuckwits have no concept of even if we were to grant that, do these fuckwits not even have a concept of alternative history? What if the Nazis actually did win some of these battles and some of the Allies won battles that they weren't supposed to win?
Also, some of the battles, usually those maps are not based on any concrete historical encounter. It's like, for example, some European city is partially leveled, and there's like two sides are fighting for the control of this, what remains of the city. This is not any specific battle. It's kind of like what was happening all over the place, kind of amalgamation of. It's, you know, you look at this, you cannot say which exactly battle is it supposed to be, but it looks like World War II. It's close enough. So I mean, it's not historically accurate because this never happened, like in this city that looks like this. But it's happened in many cities that kind of look like this, and things that were somewhat similar happened. So if you take someone who actually was there, to play this game and says, yeah, it's kind of what war was like, that's historically accurate enough, I think.
Yeah, they do think that they won every battle, Aegon.
That's. I don't know.
Damn! Are we still talking about this shit? Damn!
Oh, we are back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the kind of stupidity.
Yeah, boy.
Well, let's power through this because my face is getting tired. Oh yes.
Oh, and once you let players get cool weapons that weren't actually at that particular battleground, it's also no longer historically accurate. And
well, guess what? Maybe they're talking about Battlefield 1, which had a lot of guns that were technically from the same era, but either prototypes with very limited numbers, or well, there was no way of these guns to actually end up on the battlefield. Well, you know what? I'll say this. If someone made a historically accurate game about World War One, nobody would play it because World War One was a really miserable experience.
Yeah. Same thing with fucking medieval times and like the revolution. Well, every war really.
But World War One was really exceptional in this. Like most of it was like people digging kilometers upon kilometers of trenches. And
and just
doing nothing.
You'd be shooting fucking rats, is what you'd
be doing.
I was about to
say. I mean, why do you think nobody's made a game about like the Boxer Rebellion or the Crimean War or the French Revolution? It's because those would be boring as fuck.
Well, the one Assassin's Creed was based during French Revolution. It was really vaguely historical, but it wasn't the setting. It wasn't about the revolution, but it was set during it. So. Kinda.
Then again, it is Ubisoft, and they are quote unquote woke.
Yeah. I mean, of course, again, when it comes to Battlefield 1, yeah, they had to sacrifice some historical accuracy to bring, because playing a game with no automatic firearms except for heavy machine guns, this wouldn't be much fun because those bolt action rifles, they're not very fast to shoot, and nowadays gamers are used to automatic, where you can pull the trigger and just spray and pray. Yeah.
I mean, I personally don't care what side I'm fighting on, whatever else. I want to make things go boom.
Yeah. Also, this criticism doesn't apply to games set in World War II, because a lot of those games use pretty much common guns that were actually found on battlefield, and you would be like either standard issue or kind of at least not unlikely that you could come in contact with one. So, I mean, like MP40s were pretty widespread, and what was it, like
STGs 44s didn't come until the end.
Yeah, but still they were used in the war, and also those. Panzerschreck was not exactly a cool gun. It was kind of a failure. That's why they had to make Panzerfaust. Because Panzerschreck, despite funny name, which actually translates to armor fist. Yeah. This is mine Panzerschreck. It's Shrek's Panzers.
I thought it was Art of War.
No, Art of War is different.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking of Panzerkunst from
from Relita.
Dunham. That's different.
All right, we're going.
Yeah, let's continue.
Yes, bro.
You can't declare that your game will suffer if you don't put players in the jackboots of the Third Reich. And once your map is...
Wait, if you're going to make a World War II game without Nazis, what's even the point? Well, I guess maybe Japanese war or something. But still.
Japanese for the Italians, but then again, the Japanese arc ended a little too quickly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. You know, what's the point of making a World War II game without Nazis? It's kind of like...
Two bangs, really. Two bangs.
It's like making a American Civil War game without the Confederacy.
Yeah.
What's even the game?
Something carefully designed to have good gameplay by a team in a room in San Francisco or LA, and it's not a faithful reconstruction of the actual places the historical events occurred in, you can no longer say we need to have players take up arms in service of terror or hate.
Let's continue.
And look, we're not saying we can't have games about World War II or about terrorism. We're not even saying we shouldn't make games where you play as a Nazi or a terrorist.
You were saying you should... This whole video was...
Then what was the freaking point of this video?
What the fuck? He contradicted himself.
I mean, he actually said clearly players should not be playing as Nazis or terrorists earlier in the video.
This is the funny thing about it. It's like, oh, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have games like this, but it's like saying, oh, I'm not racist, but...
It's like they say. It's like the meme. I'm not saying we should have games where you play as Nazis, but we shouldn't have games where you play as Nazis.
I don't hate man, but and so on.
Play.
Yeah, we need to finish
What we are
this.
saying is that the fact that you're playing as a Nazi or a terrorist in a game has to mean something, and it can't just be a skin. It can't be something that a game randomly drops you into. And really, if we are saying anything in this episode, it's this. Games can do better. And in this particular case, it's not even that hard to do better. And it's no more costly to do better. All it requires is that we in the game industry be cognizant of the world around us.
We in the game industry. Are you in the game industry? Do you make games? Have you made a single game in your life? How do you know it's not more costly or more harder? If you haven't made a single game, you are in no position to speak. Fucking Steve Shives wannabe.
In other words, shut the fuck up, you.
He actually is his cartoon character makes him look like Steve Shives.
And it's just as condescending as Steve. Damn.
That's the funny thing, because you would expect this stupidity from Steve Shives, so yeah, kind of fits perfectly.
Seriously, this dude is crazy as fuck. Holy shit.
Yeah, let's finish this.
30 seconds, we can do this.
Going on mean that we think as we're building, not just about the game we're working on, but about the world as a whole. If we can do that, we can take a big step forward for the industry. We can stop helping to normalize Nazis.
And this is the end of this stupidity. Oh,
fuck you! That was the worst video I've seen this week.
Oh my god!
Maybe even this year.
Going to be painful.
You know.
Well, with that, I'm gonna go now. I'll catch you
Thanks
guys.
for staying with us, and see you next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, it was a good thing I went to shape when this was playing. I didn't miss much.
No, you want to see where they fucking defend microtransactions?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Wait. They did?
They actually defended micro fucking transactions.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Wait! Stop! Do you know what? Do you remember what the video was called? Because
no. Let me
socially
look it up right
conscious
now.
gaming.
I'm so drained from this idiocy. You know, I warned that this was going to be bad. But yeah, look, okay, let's.
You sure you don't want to finish that Lopez skit to clean your brain?
Oh, I played it already.
Just as an interlude.
I want to just, mention so much wrong with that video. First of all, really pisses me off when someone who is we in the game industry.
Oh, here it is. I got it. Let me put it in Hangouts, and there you go.
Okay, let's take a look. But before we start, let me just say
Why
that
are all of these?
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when what's his name? Bill Nye, the science deny. He said we scientists, even though he's a bachelor, he's not a scientist.
He's not. Yeah, he's an engineer. He's not a scientist.
It's like he has like bachelor's degree. I mean, I'm not saying that bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering is something to sneer at, but it doesn't make you a scientist. It's like in an old video by Logic, he said that just because some there was this like creationist who said that he is kind of like a scientist because he's like
I got my abacus in the world.
Like he's like I'm a nurse, so that's why it's like almost like science. I'm almost a scientist.
Wrong.
But it's like saying that someone who is jerking off in his basement is studying human sexuality. Because that's kind of.
You know it's wrong, and we know it.
It also reminds me. Remember this March for Science? This fucking disgrace.
Oh, you mean that March ended up being a custom parenting of SJWs from 8 years? Oh shit. 8 years and plus? Yeah.
So let me just show this.
8 years and plus 2.0 beta, bitch.
So this is like look at this shit. I swear this is real. I saw it on Twitter.
No, yeah, I remember seeing that back then. I think we covered it before that channel got sucked.
Yeah, like nurses are scientists. No, they are not. We apply science. You know who else applies science?
Everyone else.
Yeah, a guy who cooks meth in his basement also applies science, and he actually is closer to a chemist than the nurse scientist.
No, he is a chemist by definition.
He's a chemist, but his methods are a little bit unorthodox.
Doesn't matter. Well, doesn't fucking matter.
You know.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Also, let's not go there because that was another can of worms.
It's all right. I just had my meth. Ulfenidate.
Can we just call that Autism Plus 2.0?
Oh yeah. Let's play this because I haven't seen this video. Oh.
$60 games trying to sell me loot boxes? Why are all these $60 games selling me season passes for their DLC? Why are all of these $60 games including microtransactions? Why are
those are not equivalent. Season pass is not necessarily bad because sometimes DLCs are pretty substantial and I don't like season pass because you basically pay for something that isn't even there. It's like you're in game. Season pass is basically you buy all the future DLCs that come out this season, and you don't know how many of them will be and how good they will be. So you are basically paying for something that doesn't exist and might not even exist at all. This is why it's the problem. This is why you shouldn't, unless you are really, really, really confident, you shouldn't pre-order games.
I think the only instance I've ever paid for a season pass was Forza Motorsports 4, and I'll be honest with you, it hasn't disappointed me.
I mean, if you know that this game is going to be good, so go ahead. But the problem with DLCs is that a lot of companies don't make the DLC separate. They just publishers. They see a game and then make the developer cut out some of the content to be sold separately as DLC. This happens a lot.
Or nerfing it.
Like Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. Remember this shit show about it? Because a part or was it Human Revolution that had the piece of content ripped out of the game, and it was obvious that there was supposed to be like a level there, and there was no level, and then it was sold as separate DLC.
Oh, you mean the fucking container? You mean the missing link? No, they actually went back and made that.
Oh.
I remember being pissed about it because it's like, oh, what? Oh, no, yeah, no, it was Human Revolution, but what happened was Well, it was the Missing Link DLC, which they actually had to go back and basically invent a level where there was none, but it wasn't missing.
Yeah, well,
But the other thing is that the boss fights in that game were farmed out to a different developer who didn't know what they were doing.
Well, yeah,
but you got that as a free update. You got that as a free update for pre-existing owners.
Oh, by the way, you know what this reminds me of? There were a lot of games where DLCs were already on the disc, so they were sold separately.
Oh yeah, Marvel versus Capcom and that shit.
Yeah, so this wasn't developed separately. It was developed during the development of the game itself, but they pretended it was made later as a DLC, and it was already on the disc, so it was really.
Oh yeah, Mass Effect 3 did that with fucking Javik.
By the way, that's why instead of pre-ordering games, buy them like a year later.
Pirate them.
Sale. Because if you buy a game...
Don't even buy them.
Well, Mass Effect 3, yeah, I wouldn't recommend, but other games. If a game is decent, you buy it later, it will be like a Game of the Year edition with DLCs, with patches, and it's cheaper, and you have a more powerful hardware, so it runs smoother. But those who pre-order get the game on day one, it's rough, it's unfinished, it's rough, irritating, and gets everywhere. Like sand people.
Yeah. Those people who pre-order games, those are the stupidest motherfuckers in the world.
You stupid!
Well,
you a stupid hoe!
You know where it is acceptable when it's like an indie developer, and you know that they barely have the budget, so pre-ordering actually makes the game more likely to be finished. I get it, but when it's like a AAA and a huge corporation like Activision and EA don't need your pre-order money to finish the game. They have enough money already. They farm their like EA. They make like billions from microtransactions from their sports titles, which are like really low effort crash grabs, and they don't need your pre-order money to finish the game. They have enough. So no.
But we've got to have more money.
Yeah, that's the problem, and they are so used to milking those sports franchises that even very successful games that are not as successful as those franchises are considered failures by them because they set up really high expectations that are unrealistic, and that's why they force the developers to close. They buy studios, they work them to death, and then they just close them down.
Hump and dump, baby, hump and dump.
Yeah, pretty much. So. Yeah, don't buy EA games.
Oh, I stopped buying EA games by the time I bought Need for Speed.
I used to know a Maxis developer on Facebook. He would just shit on EA constantly because of what they did to his company.
He's a man of culture.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They've killed so many good developers like Westwood.
I think he fucking almost busted a gut when he saw what happened with SimCity 5.
Oh, was this the one where it was supposed to be online only, and then this was. By the way, the funniest thing is this game journalists were defending it and saying, "Oh, you're not a game developer. You have no idea if it can be played offline or not."
And game developers like BJ West are like, "No, you don't understand. This is all a lie."
Also, on the same week, some hacker made a patch that allowed you to play offline. On the same
I mean, there's that too.
Imagine being so wrong and being proven
wrong. You're wrong.
You're fucking wrong, you dumb motherfucker.
Anyways, let's continue with this stupid video.
Are all of these $60 games trying to sell me DLC on day one? There are many.
Well, if it's on day one, that means it was developed on the same time as the original game. So
yeah, or like the Tony Hawk game where the entire game was the initial patch.
Well,
Tony Hawk, the last one.
Different. It's different. You know why it was done like this? Because their rights were expiring, so they had to publish this game before the rights expire. So they published it before the game was ready. So when you try to play it the first time, it has to download 50 gigabytes of shit, because that's the whole game. The stuff that was on the disc, it was less than a demo. Then again, the whole game was really
was shit.
It was so rushed. It was such a cash grab, and it didn't work properly. it was glitching, not in a fun way, because Skate 3, it's a really, really buggy, glitchy mess, but it was a glorious mess. I'm sure that most people who played this game played it because it was so bad, not because of anything else. Because it was so bad it's good. You could do really funny shit in there. Like you see those.
It's
videos.
a sandbox game at that point.
Yeah, and also this physics is so ripe for abuse. It's so funny. You can fly into space on pellets or plywood. Plywood turns into flywood because you stack 5 sheets of plywood.
Oh yeah, like what happens in Subnautica if you manage to land on a bird that's sitting and then it goes up and it just takes you with it across the entire fucking map.
In many games, you can do it in Skyrim because birds have huge hitboxes to make it easier to shoot them with an arrow, and that's why you can stand on a bird and fly around because it's so. Yeah, Skyrim physics are quite a thing in itself, But anyways.
Well, it's funny. It's funny in Subnautica because there's a giant fucking space laser that's supposed to shoot down anything that moves, and the birds just fly right in front of it with you on it. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it's maybe the space gun doesn't try to shoot.
It isn't. The space gun's scripted. It's just hilarious when you're playing the game.
You can explain it with lore. It was supposed to only shoot down spaceships, not some bird riders who try to recreate the scene from Avatar.
All right, let's listen to this faggot.
I mean, if you were the AI that controls the gun, you might start short-circuiting trying to process what's happening. Just imagine those glitches in real life.
Imagine my shock.
Continue.
Variations, but the fundamental question being asked is the same. Why are they trying to make me pay more than $60 for this game? Today, we are going to answer that question.
Well, I can answer this question. They want to try to make you pay more than $60 because the more you pay, the more money they get.
This guy's such a fucking shill. God damn.
Yeah, Dan
the sad
wasn't
thing
exactly
is that
that
it's
much
not like
better.
he's benefiting from it.
That's also, let's not forget that not everywhere there's $60. In some regions, the prices are lower because the income levels of those countries is lower.
And that's bullshit too, because I think in the UK it's like fucking 80 or something.
Yeah, because
80 pounds.
Yeah, and for example, in Russia,
even if it was
cheaper.
Even if it was 60 pounds, that would actually still be more than $60.
Yeah.
There's also the added value, added tax.
Well, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
But by the way, the funny thing is that, for example, in Russia, games are usually much cheaper, and that's because if games were for $60 there, people would just pirate. So Russia only recently people started buying games legitimately there. So
because it was convenient and cheap for them to do so.
Yeah, because and that's the thing. Is if
as Gabe Newell said, it's a service issue.
Yeah. Also, if for example Steam has become so popular because nowadays there's decent internet in Russia. So back in the day when everyone was on dial-up, good luck using Steam or anything like that. You have to use physical media, or unless you want to download the fucking game for a week before you can play it. So
I do remember that before that Russia had to make do with a ton of knockoff consoles like the Dendy.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. Also, different markets are different. For example, you have to consider the income levels of the people. So if people don't earn enough money to buy those $60 games without sacrificing something else, they won't do it because games are not essential for survival. It's a kind of luxury. It's entertainment, and when finances are tight, you sacrifice entertainment first because it's the easiest thing to get rid of. You just you have to pay for electricity, food, and housing. But games, you'll survive without games. So that's why you have to price games competitively in those markets. By the way, this is also an issue of economics. Products are priced the way they are, not based solely on how much you spend to produce them, but based on the market equilibrium. Basically, the higher the price, the fewer people will buy it. So at some point, when the price, you can, or the lower the price, the more people will buy it. So at some point, you find the optimal point where you multiply the number of people who buy it and by the price, and you get the maximum output. So that's what determines the price first and foremost. And it doesn't matter, like in the long run, how expensive the game was, because if there was this, it was, they were just literally making pennies on top of the development costs. They wouldn't be able to sell the game much cheaper in those other markets. So that's leftists don't understand economics. That's why they think that. Also, okay, let's continue. I have a suspicion this will get even dumber.
AAA games should not cost $60 anymore. And I'm going to spend the rest of this video explaining why. The price for a AAA game was set at $60 right around the launch of HD consoles, the Xbox 360 and the PS3.
Well, the thing is that when you develop for consoles, you have to give a cut to the console manufacturer. When you make PC games, it's no longer applies. You have to give a cut to Steam and other distributors, but it's much smaller, and also you don't have to use Steam. If you want to sell the game yourself, like from your website, it's not optimal, but you can do it. And again, you compare how much you have to give to those console manufacturers versus what Steam takes. Yeah, it's different. So, anyways.
Was around 2005, and the price hasn't shifted again since, but the value of the US dollar certainly has. The rate of inflation over the last decade...
Why is there a clown?
Because the guy thinks that capitalists are clowns.
I don't get the metaphor. This guy in a suit with a clown nose, I get the inflation metaphor, because, inflation's like balloons. But why the clown? What the fuck?
The guy's projected because the guy who made the video is a clown. An ass clown.
Hong Kong, motherfucker.
There we go.
Roughly 2% per year. According to the best figures I can find, that means that the value of goods has inflated 25.34% since we started selling games for $60. And let's just round that down to a flat 25% to keep the math simple. So due to inflation alone, AAA games should be selling for $75 right now. But obviously, inflation isn't the only factor in play here. AAA games are all competing to have the best-looking game on the market. And
well, you know what? What they don't take into account? That since then, the number of gamers increased. So the market is bigger. And as you know, especially with games, it costs very little to create additional copies of the game, because you don't buy a physical product. You buy a copy of software. Basically, you pay for the right to use it. So that's why when you buy on Steam, you don't buy a physical thing. You basically buy the right to download and use this, the game. And it doesn't cost, it would cost almost the same to sell, 100,000 copies or 10 million copies. Well, it has, but developers don't pay for, Steam pays for the servers. Well, they pay for multiplayer servers, but if it's a single player game, it's not even a factor. So, again, and if the market is bigger, well, again, the those two graphs were intersect, the demand and supply. Again, it's economics 101, literally.
That graphical arms race gets way more expensive with each new console generation. And sure, we have found a lot of clever efficiencies along the way to reduce costs. I mean, heck, we treat third-party game engines like middleware now, and that saves tons. But even with those savings, I would estimate that AAA games cost somewhere between 3 and 4 times as much to make as they did back in 2005. So, does that mean...
Well, do you have any facts to back this up? Do they have any links to...
Nope.
I don't see any like, this would actually be not be very hard to, you don't need to estimate. You can check, for example, how much did it cost to make Halo 1 versus Halo, 3 or 4 or whatever. Because those are public numbers. It's known how much it costs.
Like the black man in Spaceballs said, "We found shit, Captain."
That's the thing. Like, they estimate. Well, first of all, AAA game is not like a standard product. Different games take different for example, some games are cheaper to produce, some are more expensive, and sometimes it's because the studio is just full of shit. They have to redo all the work because they fuck up so often, and this will increase the costs, obviously. So sometimes some games, like for example, first Halo, I guess it was really expensive because it went through several iterations. At some point, it was supposed to be a real-time strategy, believe it or not. And I guess that rewriting the game, and they had a playable demo at some point even. So they had to make like 3 games. And that's costs, you have to pay developers. They don't work for free. So all the time that was wasted on those game engines that were discarded, well, it costs money and it didn't contribute anything to the game. So that inflates the price of development. But it's different for every game. Because if the game development is very efficient and they don't have to go back and fix stuff, yeah, it will be cheaper than if they have to redo the work several times because it doesn't work properly. That's the thing. Game development, it's not like making, for example, manufacturing cars. Yeah, it's like how much it would cost. You can estimate, and cars from the different manufacturers from a similar price class, they cost more or less the same to manufacture. So, but when it comes to games, each one is unique basically. So it's again this let's play this.
Games should actually be costing somewhere between $225 and $300? Fortunately, no. Things aren't quite that dire. It's pretty hard to pin down exact numbers on this, but the game-playing audience is a lot bigger than it was in 2005.
Oh, did they acknowledge this? Okay, maybe it's just stupid, not monumentally stupid. Okay.
Too, like several times bigger. And that means that there's a lot more customers to sell to, which helps to make up for that higher production cost and can result in even bigger profits if you manage to make a huge hit.
Oh, dear Lord, it's a beam mount. We found a Cal artist.
Yeah. I still think the art here looks a bit better than the fucking shit last time. It has a little bit of charm, whereas the other stuff was just like, yeah, let's do cringe face everywhere. Bleh.
Yeah, that's really kind of weird. They made those derpy
This is
pieces.
with the previous artist, you can tell, because she has a better grasp of like faces.
Also, women have boobs in this version.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's a woman who drew this.
Yeah, boobs matter, people.
Yeah, literally.
Well, then again, they should have probably drawn arms as well, because what
Well,
without arms?
Boobs.
know,
Why did
arts-
she need arms?
True. Haha.
I have arms. That's all that's important.
Wait a minute.
If you manage to make a huge hit. Unfortunately, when you're
I'm not going to excuse the art style. It's not mine. I wouldn't have done it this way, but
The Dark Souls of games.
I don't think they know what this means. When game journalists say that something is Dark Souls of something, it means that it's brutally hard.
James Portnow was too busy groping the other staffer to realize this.
But the thing, it doesn't mean the game is good if they call
He's
it.
a Goonie man beard. What do you want?
Literally, when they say something is Dark Souls, they only talk about the difficulty. They don't talk about anything else, because they called fucking Cuphead Dark Souls of platformers, even though it has literally zero in common with Dark Souls. It's different genre, different art style. Everything is different, and even the difficulties, the challenges are very different because, well,
Lex, these are the same people. Sorry to interrupt, but these are the same people who played God Hand and couldn't beat it. So
yeah.
Isn't God Hand a really easy game to beat so long as you're bad at it?
What?
I couldn't even beat the last boss, so.
No, but I mean the way God Hand works is that if you're actually bad at the game will not seriously punish you.
You mean rubber banding?
Yes, that's literally the point of the game.
Really?
Yeah, because the better you do at the game, the enemies automatically get harder.
Oh, this is like I remember this from first Max Payne. It was really, really infuriating when the later levels, if you play decently, the later levels become fucking nightmare. especially those fuckers with the
Yeah,
rocket
God
launchers
Hand
and-
does that per enemy. It's actually very fascinating.
Well, it's like, yeah, this. I guess. Anyways, let's watch
So
this.
that explains why I haven't beaten Nangra. Holy shit!
Yeah, actually suck at the game more and try like do intentionally poorly, but not like die all the time, and you'll probably be able to beat it.
So it's basically encouraging smurfing. That's what.
Yeah, basically. I mean, until you get a grasp on it. I mean, it's more fun to play at a higher level, but you can beat it if you're bad at it.
Damn it, Capcom! What the fuck?
Well,
hey, it's Clover Studios, man. That was their last hurrah there.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's continue with this.
When you're counting on that higher number of sales to make a profit, if your game flops, well, you're going to be losing an impossibly large, possibly studio sinking amount of money. But since
Well, if your game flops, it doesn't matter how much you spend on the production. If you don't get the money back, it's still a hit. So when the game flops, it's bad no matter what. So what's even the point here?
we're just focusing on what the average retail price of a game should be, let's just ignore that increased risk factor for now. Based on what we've seen firsthand working in this industry, much of which is...
Why does that nigga have arms? I just realized that.
Oh, so they are saying that they worked in the gaming industry, but conveniently, the NDAs prevent them from speaking what exactly they were doing.
The biggest question is, what the fuck is up with that stomach?
Well, they are saying that they are not thinking with their brains; they're thinking with their stomachs, which is obvious.
How very Egyptian of them.
But the thing is, the thing is that they cannot tell what they were doing in the gaming industry. Maybe they were like voice actors. Who knows? Like, they don't say that we're developers; they were just in gaming industry.
They were doing video gaming development.
I'm glad you got that.
But it's like, imagine if they were like a janitor at a game studio. Oh, I work in a gaming business. Yeah.
No, the reason why they signed the NDAs is because the studio is owned by Weinstein.
Well, yeah, I mean, inevitably, yes.
Or maybe remember those NDAs from Vice where they have to promise not to sue their employer for workplace harassment. Remember that?
Oh my god.
Yes, Mr. Vey. Oi.
Gut estimate, and understand this really is just a rough guess, I would say that the actual retail price of a modern AAA game without any additional ongoing revenue sources to support it should probably be as high as $85 to $90 new. Now, understandably...
hold on now. Back in the 90s, N64 games would regularly sell at about 70 to 80.
PlayStation games, from what I recall, used to sell at 50.
Yeah, so where is he getting this fucking number?
Well, I mean, he has rough estimates. He won't, share
A
the
rough
details.
estimate, not even saying what he's taking into account, because it's fucking nothing.
I think it's just,
He's a fucking bag. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, first of all, you shouldn't compare, games, cartridge-based games, because cartridges actually cost more money than, printing a disc. Because cartridges have a lot of electronics inside, and back in the day, those were pretty costly. But
True, but what I mean is that you had a market that was used to those higher prices, and that's when it actually cost a lot more via inflation. So what happened?
And also...
I know what happened. You know what happened. You actually discussed part of it. The fucking market changed.
Yeah. Let's also not forget
which defeats his entire argument, actually.
Well, yeah, it's like that's the thing, competition. Because nowadays there are more people in game development, and there are more indie studios. And indie games, just because it's not AAA doesn't mean it's better. I would say that a lot of indie games are like 10 times better than just AAA.
No, it's what like Razorfist mentioned about the death of the middle market that happened right after the PS2 era.
Yeah. Well, also nowadays
so many great developers.
Those big studios, they are really, they don't experiment with game design. They make the same shit over and over again because it's safe and it's kind of guaranteed. Like, look at the console games. It's like half of the 2/3 of the games are like third-person shooters with stealth elements.
That's not even true anymore. It's like FIFA and fucking loot box bullshit.
Well, that's true, but the thing is that innovation is stagnant because those giant studios they're not experimenting, they're not innovating, they're just they improve the graphics, they improve some other stuff, but
Actually, not even that anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's fucking FIFA. It's the same game year after year. They improve the graphics, make the textures better, and they change
What's funny is that it didn't used to be that way. Like, new FIFA entries would actually add shit, but they haven't done that in decades.
Well, because it sells. People will buy anyways. Because people who buy.
Yeah, that's true too.
Well, the thing is, because this is the guaranteed market. People who buy FIFA games, they are like separate from other gamers because they usually don't play anything else, and since they don't buy other games, they can buy the same game over and over every year because they don't spend money on other games. That's the thing. It's a very separate, different market.
They pretty much spend their money on rosters, but nothing else.
Yeah, and it's pretty much thing that can be like if consoles had modding enabled for those games, you could mod it like community could mod it for free.
Oh yeah. I think it still exists, but there's actually a fan updated version of Tecmo Bowl that you can actually play online from the NES days that has like up to date to the year NFL rosters. I'll look it up while you're talking.
Oh, interesting. But
the thing that's actually sad about console gaming is not the fact that modding is haram, but the fact that it's setting the industry back regarding the gamers.
Yeah, it's really like regressive in the way that games are like. First of all, consoles are not very good at some genres. Don't exist on consoles, or almost don't exist. Like for real-time strategies. When was the last time you played an RTS on a console or a flight simulator?
I would say personally, Command and Conquer back in the PlayStation 1 days, but that was about it.
Yeah, like I remember there was an N64 port of StarCraft, but without a mouse, it's not StarCraft. The funny thing is that there was a mouse peripheral for N64, and it almost works. The problem is that you cannot assign you cannot rebind certain buttons from joystick to the mouse. And one of the mouse buttons was like very important for some actions. Otherwise, it actually works like you'd expect.
Are you talking about the mouse that would have been used for the 64DD and on the online stuff that never came over here?
Yeah, it's like it's normal mouse pretty much, but works with N64. The funny thing is that it works with StarCraft. It would work perfectly with StarCraft on N64 if you could bind the Z button, because it only has 2 buttons, and you need at least 3 buttons on the controller to play the game. And
there was online compatibility for the N64 back
Yeah,
in the day?
yeah. It never left Japan though.
Of course, the Japanese really stick it to the Westerners.
No, it's because it didn't fucking sell well enough outside.
Yeah.
Because in Japan to justify bringing it out.
Yeah, a lot of those peripherals
Which is sad because there were some.
And they release it in Japan and see how well it sells. If it doesn't sell in Japan, they don't try to sell it in the West.
Yeah, which is sad because ew, what the fuck is this? Oh, dust. Because there were some games, a lot of which are thankfully preserved, and you can play it on an N64 emulator, obviously, but there were some games that ran really well, like the 64DD version of SimCity 64 actually had a 3D street view that you could actually go into your city. Basically, it ends up being SimCity 2000 with a 3D street view. It's very interesting. I'll look up footage for that while we're talking about these fags.
Okay.
Yeah,
here it is. This shit is fascinating.
Well, anyways, let's continue with this fucking video. I don't want to linger on it more than we need.
Yeah.
The industry out. Who outside of Australia is going to pay $90 for a video game? I mean, we all saw what happens to the Neo Geo, and this fear has been compounded by the success of the mobile game market, which has sort of trained consumers to think that games should be astonishingly cheap. I mean, for a tablet game, $10 is considered expensive, even if that same game.
Well, let's not compare, because mobile games are very different. Mobile games are mostly idle games and like casual games because if you want to play like all day long, you play on a console or on the computer. Mobile games are when you waiting in line or driving, riding a bus, when you have like 10 minutes to kill. That's when mobile games come in, and that's why those are very different. They are much more simple. They are not very advanced. The mechanics are simplified. You can pick them up and put them down at any moment without being too invested. So that's not a valid comparison. And
there you are, playing the PvP in your World War II.
Why are all of these $60 games trying to?
The hell?
I accidentally clicked the touch button on my fucking mouse.
Huh.
Also, for some reason, it logged me out of YouTube, but yeah, who cares?
Tell me, loot box, ongoing revenue sources to support it should probably less of the mobile game market, which has sort of trained consumers to think that games should be astonishingly cheap. I mean, for a tablet game, $10 is considered expensive, even if that same game would cost $30 on the DS or $40 on Steam. And for that matter, Steam sales have been training us to expect cheaper games too. And so the industry has kept that $60. For that matter, Steam's.
Why is Oh, it's a reference to Half-Life 3 that.
Yeah, Gabe Newell, because.
I just don't understand why he had a S with a. It looked like sideways.
I know, it's cute.
Anyways, yeah, okay, let's.
Oh.
Well, again, sales are because new games are rarely on sale. Usually, when it's on sale, it's something that has been out for like a year or maybe several years. That's because, well, most of the revenue game companies make from a game is right after it's released, when most of the gamers buy it, and then after like 2 years, everyone who wanted to buy it and play it like immediately, they already did it. So you might put it on sale to sell it to someone who was like maybe not, but if it's on sale, they might just buy it because it's on sale. That's kind of like it works. And also, additional copies don't cost you pretty much anything. So you can put it on sale because it's better to sell it for cheap than not sell it at all. Because, again, it's not a physical thing. It's different.
Sales have been training us to expect cheaper games too. And so the industry has kept that $60 price right where it is. And, I mean, maybe they're right to do so. A lot of people got pretty bent out of shape when the price got bumped up to $60 back in 2005. And there is something about the number 70 that just feels like, yikes, that's a lot of money.
Why is it actually as if this poor industry...
As if collector's editions don't regularly break 100. Fuck off.
Also, the thing, like, as if evil gamers are forcing those companies to sell for $60 and not more. They choose it themselves. I mean, if they wanted to sell it for higher price, they could do it. It's just the way that the market works. If one company starts doing this, others don't, this company will have less revenue. Because, again, market regulates it. And just, they don't need white knights to, protect the poor, oppressed
white beans, as it were.
It's like gaming industry is not oppressed by evil gamers. Those giant mega corporations are not the victims here. This white knighting is so fucking bad. Oh.
Industry wisdom really may be right here. Maybe raising that standard price any higher than $60 would lead to a drop in sales. But by not raising prices, we've put ourselves in a...
I'm going to be a complete faggot and torpedo my own argument because I'm smarter than you, gamer.
I think also let's not forget that there are those collector's editions or those extended editions where you can
which cost them pretty much nothing to make. Let's be honest.
It depends. Sometimes they put some. Usually they are really overpriced, and they don't even put a fucking duffel bag.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
But by the way, did anyone receive the replacement duffel bag at all?
Fuck no.
Supposedly, but it wasn't the same as the Supposedly, but it wasn't the same as the advertised. It was no, not really.
Nope.
Yeah, that's the
Big
thing.
fucking fat nope.
And also, there's so quickly.
To cover our development costs, reduce the risk of catastrophic losses, and show our shareholders the return percentages they're expecting, we've got to do something to increase revenue. And we've tried to do that in a lot of different ways to varying degrees of success. First, we tried increasing revenue by selling DLC, but fans got upset if we sold that DLC at launch and they didn't buy it if we...
Well, that's why you don't sell it at launch. Just if you want to...
No, but he was going to say they don't buy it later because they don't fucking care.
Well, that's why don't sell a day one DLC. Sell it like 3 months later. Pretend that you developed it.
I think he actually covers that though.
Well, day one DLC. It's not a
I'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye. But,
Did you?
one
Oh wait. Oh shit. Oh well. He needed. I sent him a link, or maybe he's looking at it now. Anyway.
Well, the day one DLC, you are saying that you are selling part of the game and part of the game separately. It's like buying a table and it only has 3 legs and that's fourth leg is sold separately. People are pissed off because it's what it is. You are selling them part of the game and pay more for the entire experience. DLC was supposed to be like expansions for the game when you. It was
they were in the 90s. And some of the expansions were like an entirely new fucking game.
Yeah, some expansions were standalone. They had their own executable. You can play them without playing the main game, and they were like a sequel, but which wasn't too different. Back then, if the sequel was too similar to the original game, they sold it as expansion because it was understood that sequels should be different enough.
Yeah.
So
I remember something, and it was the fact that Rockstar actually sold like sort of an expansion pack for Midnight Club 3. It was called Remix, which had a couple more cars in the city of Tokyo. But that was it. It was sold. It wasn't even downloadable content as much as it was an added CD with added content. That was it.
Also, these people, when they talk about nowadays, like when digital distribution takes over, they don't, they don't tell you that digital distribution is much cheaper for the developer than distributing it normal way. Because when you distribute it, first of all, you need to make those physical copies. Even though those physical copies are not that expensive, they are expensive, and you have to distribute them as a lot of added cost. But digital distribution, you only pay, you have to pay Steam or whoever you are distributing through, but that's it basically. You don't need to make the discs, make the boxes, ship them to stores, none of that. Just it's all electronically made. So again, they don't talk about this aspect.
But here's the thing: some games that did this were also incredibly disappointing. Looking at you, Virtual Fighter for the PS2, with the additional Shaolin Warrior, which was nothing special.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Also, this a lot of. Let's not forget that even back in the day, not all games were like $60. Like, for example, first Serious Sam was a budget title, only $20.
Yeah.
And it sold really well because it was so cheap and because it was so good by the time. Nowadays it's nothing special, but back in the day, you look at it, it looked better than AAA titles, and it was made by a tiny team that was making fucking mobile games back in the day. Before Serious Sam.
Last, when I was a teenager, you know what? You know how Take-Two started out? They actually started out making budget title games for the PlayStation 2. At least to my knowledge, they were worth $10.
Oh. Yeah, the fact is that this game, even though it's gameplay wise, it's not exactly sophisticated, but it was fun. It looked great, and it only cost $20. Yeah, and it actually was. Look, I mean, it came out of nowhere. Nobody expected it, and it became like
exactly like I just said.
Yes, it was really fun, and they made a name for themselves, and they made a profit because their company was kind of on the verge of falling apart, and then it was a hit. So that's how they succeeded. So this $60 bullshit just fuck off with that. It's not, again, you cannot compare like all AAA games to each other. Each one is different. Unless it's like the same FIFA games every year, then yeah, it's the same game. But I'm talking about like, don't lump all AAA games together. It's not
Hashtag not all AAA.
exactly. And again, I would take some indie games over AAA bullshit any day, anyways, because it's in the end of the day, just do you care if it's like AAA? Well, actually, I do care. I would, if the game is like, if everything else was the same, I would prefer an indie game, because I don't want to, give money to those evil corporations that try to use any available to them method to just fuck us up as much as they can. Remember this patent application from Activision to make those to basically psychologically manipulate people into buying microtransactions or like loot boxes by manipulating matchmaking and other stuff, and it's like really like very evil version of Skinner box. Remember this shit?
Oh, God.
Not only did they invent this shit, they were so proud of it they wanted nobody else to copy it, so they filed for a patent. And they said, "Oh, we didn't intend to use it." Well, if you didn't intend to use it, why did you file a patent? It's not.
Why did you develop it, asshole?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, it was just they had this idea purely theoretical.
It was experiment, brah.
But that's the thing. I mean, obviously they wanted to use it, and I'm sure that some of this shit is used already, but it's not as blatant. And those other companies are not stupid enough to actually file for a patent, because it's evil. They try to hide their behind the scene machinations, because when consumers find out, they won't be too pleased. People weren't, because when this came out, it was a scandal, because it should fucking be a scandal. It's really manipulative, and the way how Orwellian the language was, they try to frame it in a positive light, to like it as if it was helping less able players to even the playing field. When you have to buy your way to victory, it's not evening the playing field. It's kind of like making it pay to win. It's kind of the opposite to leveling the playing field. The more money you can spend on this bullshit, or the more money you're willing to spend on this bullshit, the more likely you are to win. It's kind of, yeah, this shit is like for mobile games that are free to fucking play.
All right, but I think he's actually. Go ahead.
You were saying?
No, go ahead.
The DLC later. Next, we tried designing games to be perpetual experiences, games that you would play all year long, because then we could sell map packs and expansions over that game's longer lifespan. But supporting those games long-term turned out to be pretty expensive too, and it didn't really work for every kind of game. Besides, players can only actively keep up with so many perpetual games at once, so all of those perpetual games have to compete for attention, and the audience just gets locked down. It's like the MMORPG flood all over again. And so now we are trying the next thing.
Well, speaking of MMORPGs, most of them are free to play anyways, and yet they manage to make money somehow. And they are saying that those games that are costing you $60 should have more loot boxes and more bullshit monetization than free to play MMORPGs, even though MMOs are notoriously the most complicated and most expensive games to make ever. Like compared to everything else, MMOs are way by much the more complicated and more costly, and not only to produce but also to maintain, because for obvious reasons.
Have you molested your coworkers, Glebs? Then you're not qualified to talk about game development. I'm not gonna let that go. I'd let go. Fuck it. Fuck this dude. I've hated this dude for years.
Yeah.
Terry has a new one. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, let's finish this stupid shit.
Boxes. We'll come back to the specific topic of loot boxes in a couple of weeks, but this is basically where we're at. And now we as an audience have to decide what we want. Are we okay with paying more for these games at retail? $70? $80? Maybe even more? The data suggests that the answer is no, but if that's the case...
Well, why is your data is like a insectoid version of Reddit?
He looks, oh my god, he looks like what the fuck are these called? He looks like the one Lego set I have, where it's literally bug people.
Well, I mean, it's bugmen. You know those how SJWs are called bugmen.
They
Sometimes.
better stay away from my karate bugman. Jesus.
Because-
Hey, it's Darren.
Oh, hello there.
Hello. What's up? How you guys doing?
Oh, we're enduring stupidity of extra
Oh,
credit.
I know what bugman means. Type in karate bugman.
Are you guys doing the extra credits video?
Yeah.
But now it's a different one. It's a second one.
Yeah, there we go.
There's the second one, Jesus Christ, because I did 60 minutes in the first.
Yeah, this one is games should not cost $6. Like, they are saying they're shilling for the game industry and defending microtransactions and loot boxes.
Yeah, this is an old video from last year that I pointed out after we covered the fucking Nazi
this is
shit.
Notorious. A lot of people who were saying like, "Oh God, if you think this is video is bad, look at the one where they were defending all the microtransactions and bullshit like that." And I assume this is this one.
Yep.
It's
yep.
not-
Yep.
I would say that this is not worse than the Nazi video. It's bad, but it's not as retarded because their Nazi video is by far the most retarded I've seen from them.
Well, I can tell you right now. First of all, I'm very drunk. Second of all,
Hell
I
yeah,
did
brother.
60-minute, 2 minute, 2 videos, 60 minutes total content on the Nazi video because it was that retarded.
I watched it, my dude. It was
However,
great.
The fact that they defended microtransactions and all sorts of other malicious behavior, just because it's like, video games are good content, so pay all the money in the world for them, sounds about as bad, if not worse.
God, this guy's such a fucking chill, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, Extra Credits is an extremely bad YouTube channel, and the fact that they have like 2.7 million subs is shameful and disgusting.
I'm actually glad I never even subscribed to that.
I used to be subscribed to them, but I realized their content just wasn't worth my time.
I mean, seriously, even Sargon called this guy out.
I mean, I can imagine them having a point somewhere against some video game that was malicious, because there's been a lot of malicious video games over the past 3.5, 4 years. However, holy shit. I mean, the past couple of takes they've took a stand on has been disgusting.
It's just been cock.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, let's finish this bullshit. Ugh.
Well, we're going to have to learn to live with loot boxes or microtransactions or whatever other model the industry attempts next. And
well, you know, not every single game developer is doing this. Guess what? Not every AAA game has this bullshit. Some of them don't. So it means that you can be successful without milking your customers. with this bullshit.
Play first-person shooters or Twitch shooters or whatever, there are a lot of video games where they don't exploit you with loot box, what they in the gambling industry call what do they call them? Slot machines. That's essentially
it's a surprise mechanic. Get with the times.
Well, they're an obvious gambling mechanic which should not ever be exposed.
Oh, you mean
to
like the literal
fact
slot
that,
machine animation in CS:GO?
Well, EA and whoever is the producer of Counter-Strike exposing that shit to kids is shameful. I mean, this shit should be illegal. I'm sorry.
The literal slot machine animation when it goes to open your fucking loot box. That's not predatory at all. That's not Skinner box shit.
Dude, they've been doing the same shit with Forza Horizon as well.
It's just gambling with Forza. I mean, Forza is an EA.
Yeah, the spinning choices you have, the changing colors. That's Skinner box shit.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but Forza is an EA property, isn't it?
No, it's Microsoft.
Okay, it's still unacceptable anyway. Whether it's EA or Microsoft or any other company attempting to do anything that looks like a slot machine, it should technically be illegal to anybody who's under the age of is either 18 or 21, depending on the state.
You know, there is one other game company that does this. It's called Studio Furukawa. It's an indie game developer in Hawaii. They have it on a game I played called Petrol Car Racer. basically you had to go and get some prices, but the thing is the prices go in the form of a slot machine, which is absolutely bullshit, and you had to buy the fucking spins.
I mean, there have been games that have been avoiding the slot machine shit for years. Game Freak, the Pokemon developers have avoided the slot machine shit for about 4.5 years since Generation 4.
So that's why it didn't make it to the remakes of Generation 2.
Yeah, there's been a few AAA games on the major consoles that have canceled any kind of loot box type shit. I believe Middle Earth: Shadow of War, the latest spin-off game for the Lord of the Rings, has stopped any loot box shit whatsoever. Forget just what do you call it? Slot machine shit, just any kind of randomized anything. Because, first of all, the fans had tremendous backlash against WB Games for doing this shit.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It was
one of the last things Total Biscuit covered, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and this was a year ago or so, about a half a year ago max. And now this shit is coming down pretty quick. This shit has been basically in law, period, in parts of Europe where they're like, you cannot do this shit. And the US is going to be quick to follow.
Oh, by the way, since you mentioned this, was it like Battle for Middle Earth or the game you mentioned before?
Middle Earth: Shadow of War. It was a PS4 and Xbox One title.
Oh, it's like which had like pay to win, like basically you reach like a.
Well, there was
pay to win, but there was the randomized loot box bullshit in it.
Yeah, because they had what? It was Shadow of Mordor, and then what was the second one? Because this is
Shadow of War was the latest one that was the current gen game.
No, but aren't there 3 in that series?
No, it's just Shadow of War, and Shadow of Mordor was the first one.
You know what's
okay, so we're on number 2. Got it.
Yes.
You know what's the funniest part? Is that when you go and buy from this orc merchant, if you let him idle animate, he's fucking rubbing hands like a fucking happy merchant meme. I shit you not.
That was probably intentional as a joke.
Oh, plus after this, I did say in my post that we were gonna tear Disney a new asshole after this video. We can talk about the World Star shit that happened in that Disney park.
Yeah, and while we're talking about loot box shit, I just want to mention on topic with the extra credits people, the video they made about Nazis, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you guys covered that just before I jumped on. I just want you to let you know, Dan or whoever wrote that segment deserves to die a very slow and painful death.
What you mean, James Portnow, the Destiny Molestiny of extra credits?
Yes, whoever wrote that segment with the Nazis and if you spawn into a multiplayer FPS game on the German side.
Literally, Mr. Wow Addiction. I remember his video on that shit. It was cringe.
I hope he dies of AIDS in Minecraft. All I'm saying.
He probably will. Have you seen the motherfucker?
No.
Oh, you need to see this bitch.
Yeah, somebody link me that shit in Discord or whatever.
All right, I'll do that. You're gonna fucking laugh your ass off at this piece of shit.
Let's finish this stupid video because I have enough of this extra credit shit. Let's not speak of them anytime.
I'm sure you guys have been on them for at least 90 minutes because holy shit, it took me a long time to get off their first video and you're on their second, which is ridiculous.
Well, this video is almost over, so let's finish it and never speak of them again.
By learn to live with, I don't mean put up with predatory crap. I mean we're gonna have to find a way to
like James
for making.
I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry.
Good supplementary income systems that aren't overly aggressive or in any way required to play competitively. Monetization systems that leave you satisfied and actually increase your enjoyment of the game you're spending dozens of hours on.
Yeah, surprise mechanic.
Thing.
That give you what was the term about this Battlefront 2? A sense of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah, No such thing. Do you think anybody had any kind of pride or accomplishment or positive emotion off of the monetization of Battlefront 2, let alone better monetized games?
Yep,
There
that
was
was
a
the
lot
phrase.
of better monetized games than that piece of shit.
Oh, by the way, what has happened? Yeah, EA tried to say that it's pride and accomplishment is this grinding required for the game. This became the most downvoted comment in the history of Reddit.
I remember this shit.
Like by far.
That's when EA can get more retarded.
What do you feel when I look at the character in the EA game? Shit, it took 40 hours to get Darth Vader, but damn, do I feel a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Accurate.
Amazing.
Yeah.
On, even if you choose to spend
I
very.
mean, part of the
but
reason
make
why I
sure
didn't have
those-
an interest in that EA Battlefront games is because even in what was it? Not BioWare, the pandemic EA, the pandemic Battlefront 2. The heroes didn't do shit about shit. I mean, the most overpowered shit were the non-Jedi ones. The guys like Han Solo was extremely overpowered. Chewbacca was very overpowered. The Jedi didn't do shit about shit in any of the modes, and they suck dick.
Kind of weird.
Well, to be fair, I mean, that kind of makes them more balanced, considering the fucking era of the game, if I remember correctly.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, because there was a Mos Eisley mode where all the hero characters fought the other hero characters, and certain prequel characters like Darth Maul and the Emperor were very strong. So the Jedis were strong in that hero versus hero mode. But when it came to affecting the map that heroes would spawn into in the early PlayStation 2 Battlefronts, the Jedis were garbage. It was like Chewbacca in the Kashyyyk map, and I believe it was like Leia or something on the Naboo map were very strong. So it was the non-Jedi characters that were the strongest.
Interesting.
So basically, Leia was OP.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, that almost makes sense in the sense is like, okay, we got these big name hero characters. Let's have them last because people are going to want to see them.
Well, just think about it like this. The non-Jedi characters had non-melee weapons. The Jedi throw their sabers once every 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It may have been unintentional then.
I mean, in really close maps, the hallway-based maps like Mustafar, the Jedi were extremely strong. But in the wide-open maps, the Jedi were garbage.
Okay. That's fair. Continue.
All right, let's...
Those really are our only two options right now. Because, like I said at the beginning, AAA games just should not cost $60 anymore. See you next week.
Oh, that's the one.
There's the rapist. There's the rapist. Second to the fucking right.
Oh my God, he looks like Eagle Raptor. What the fuck?
That they said that.
Oh, that's the guy.
Yes, that is James Portnow.
So wait, before we started streaming, Strikers showed me an old video from Sargon where he responded to this guy. I think he looks kind of like that in real life, only even worse. That's the guy. That's the sexual pest.
Yeah, go watch his. Obviously not now, but go watch his video when he talks about his fucking WoW addiction. It looks like he's talking from his basement.
I just want to say I've been drinking a whole lot tonight, so say what you will, but I want to say that literally any escapist employee anywhere in history besides Yahtzee Crawshaw is a piece of shit. We're talking Bob Chipman, Jim Sterling.
Hey, fucking man!
Hey, Staunton can go take a 12 gauge to the brain.
Yeah, I mean, there are all sorts of people who will defend guys like Jim Sterling and Bob Chipman to the ends of the earth, and these people are fucking retarded. because it's not even just
Staunton's
the
disgusting.
about eugenics for Bob Chipman or communism for Jim Sterling. These people
Or
are just wrong
like
all the fucking
constantly making jokes about raping his co-host to the point where his co-host had to leave the show because it was interfering with his actual work at a mental hospital.
Holy
yes,
shit.
Wow.
yes, Jim Sterling is fucking retarded.
Yeah, Jim Sterling is just a nightmare because he sides against the consumer every chance he gets, except for very limited circumstances.
I'm going to mock Konami, and I'm going to make myself out to be the hero.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
when he shouted on like Konami and EA, all of
he
a
was
sudden
pretending to be their PR. Like, their actual legitimate PR. Like, even back then when I was still retarded, I'm like, isn't that kind of fucked?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you side against Konami and EA, all of a sudden you're a pro-consumer advocate? No. Jim Sterling, in particular, has been anti-consumer for 7 or 8 years. Like, before Gamergate was even a thing, he was shitting on gamers and consumers. He's been anti just person buying the product all the fucking way through the process, except for like 2 examples. So the fact that people think Jim Sterling is a credible pro-consumer source about journalism blows my fucking mind, dude.
Well, especially since he was one of the key people who orchestrated the downfall of Destructoid.
Which
it's not like his most of his career on Destructoid was him being as toxic as fuck and stalking people on that website. And there's documentation up the ass of this.
It wasn't bad as Giant Bomb or Polygon or Kotaku or who else? I mean, I don't listen to fucking quote unquote games journalists.
No one does.
Independent YouTube people, if anybody else, I just kind of look at the game and see what it is and judge it for what the game looks like. Because what other choice do you have? Because every fucking buddy lies to you. And people like Giant Bomb and Kotaku and Polygon have consistently lied to consumers, so why would I ever take their word about anything? Which is people that guys like Jason Schreier and Jim Sterling work for, so fuck them.
Darren, I'm gonna sound like I'm sucking your dick, but in all honesty, I totally agree with you. James Sterling is the biggest scumbag in the gaming industry.
I also know people who've worked with Sterling and who's one of them went trans and the other one was like, fuck this guy.
It takes nothing at all to identify Jim Sterling as an anti-consumer SJW robot NPC piece of subhuman dog shit. Okay, if you have a functioning brain, you know that Jim Sterling is against you and your interests.
He's toxic
so you
as
have
fuck.
to pat me on the back for fucking anything. Jim Sterling should be obviously apparently against your interests to everybody watching this video.
I don't even like to use the word toxic because it became a buzzword.
He also genocides fucking food from the looks of the whale.
Yeah, Bob Chapman is the same. Anybody who's ever worked for Escapist is a piece of shit. Yahtzee,
please.
Anybody else?
Well, the Escapist fucking wouldn't exist without Yahtzee.
Exactly.
Dude, Bob Chapman.
Well, they brought Bob back, and Bob gets views. The sad thing is, Bob gets like 30K views, which he really
because he gets the fucking Bazinga crowd. He gets the Bazinga crowd that doesn't admit they're the Bazinga crowd.
I think he gets like 70%, 80%, maybe the Bazinga crowd. His videos get a lot of downvotes every single time. People are like, "Get the fuck rid of this piece of shit." But unfortunately, 1 out of every 5 people who comments, not necessarily watches, but comments on Bob Chipman's videos, they get the fuck rid of it.
Wait a minute, Terry, don't you live in the same state as this fucker? Like
Bob Chipman?
He's from Florida, dude.
I think so. He's the guy who said like eugenics is good, kill all conservatives. He literally said kill all conservatives, shit like that.
Yeah, he's from Florida.
I mean, it was a little bit iffy for the Escapist to hire him, but apparently he's got his niche Antifa audience because In his very recent video, he mentioned Antifa very briefly, and a lot of the left-wing commentators on his video said, "Talk more about Antifa, please." And I on a lot of comments, "Yes, please, for the love of God, Antifa, talk more about Antifa, so we know what kind of piece of shit you are, Bob." I want him to talk about Antifa at length. That would really work in our favor for him to talk about a terrorist organization.
Well, you have ever seen his faggot ass little wannabe tokusatsu where he dresses up in like fucking pajamas?
I mean, that's the least embarrassing thing he's done. He's done so many embarrassing things, ideologically, physically, appearance-wise, so many things. Bob Chipman's been a joke for a decade. The fact that nobody knows that they shouldn't take him seriously is what bothers me.
Unfortunately, there are people who take the guy seriously. I mean, Mr. Medicare alone, that pretty much tore this dude a new asshole.
Mr. Medicare hasn't talked about Bob Chipman in 6 years, maybe 5, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think the same with Razor Fist as well.
Well, I mean, what is there to say? Like, Bob Chipman is just... well, actually, no, there is change. You know, he used to be just retarded. Now, I think he actually goes insane, because some of the rants, at least back in the day, you could see where he was coming from. You know, he was retarded, but at least you could trace his thought patterns, more or less. But nowadays, it's just incoherent ramblings.
Gleb, that's what's scary about guys like Bob Chipman when it comes to the Escapists. So Bob Chipman is the only person on the Escapist except for Yahtzee. He does get a fraction of the views that Yahtzee gets. However, Bob Chipman's positive engagement on his videos is pretty high as a percentage versus his negative engagement. And he's put out some of the worst videos he's ever put out recently. Not necessarily as bad as Extra Credits, but really bad.
Well, that's the thing. People know that his takes are always garbage, so the only people who watch it are the people who agree with this. So that's why he has a lot of upvotes.
Well,
everyone knows he's an idiot.
Like Bomber Guy and Bob Chipman.
Pedophile man again.
And that audience, they've locked down a consistent, continuous audience where they're not going to drift off into nowhere. People like ContraPoints and H Bomber Guy and Bob Chipman are going fucking nowhere. They have a stand-in audience that's not going anywhere. That's what's shitty about them.
Can we please don't talk about those two anti-fascist sympathizers, please?
But the funny thing about this is, the thing is that there's even not even a point of debunking anything Bob Chipman says. Like, you look at this, you know that it's retarded.
Well, the point is that the guy's got an audience. You want
these people are... There's impossible to change their mind. They are already brain dead.
Way more people who believe people like Bob, like H Bomber Guy, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but the thing is that these people, it's pretty much impossible to change their mind because they're ideological zombies.
I don't know about change their mind, but I mean about humiliate and embarrass these people. That's somewhat necessary, in my opinion.
If they can watch movie Bob without cringing to death, there is nothing that can embarrass them. This is like...
Well, we have a duty to say that much. And not that many people are talking about it, is all I'm saying.
That's true. Well, at least it's easy to make fun of Bob Chipman. Just post screenshots of what he says verbatim without even saying anything.
The thing about him is he's that fucking retarded, and he has a standard audience that doesn't go away.
Because they're also retarded.
For him.
It's as simple as that. He's retarded, his audience is retarded.
There's also the fact that the man is the epitome of an NPC, especially when it came to Donald Trump's victory.
Well, I mean, it's like typical, what you'd expect. But the thing is that...
People like H Bomber Guy were as stupid as it gets, but no, guys like Bob Chipman are worse. Guys like... Extra Credits, by the way. The last couple of videos they put out, dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen some really stupid shit the past 2 years. Really stupid shit.
Well, there's a reason why they look the same as Spirit Science videos.
Oh, it's worse. It's worse. It's worse than Spirit Science. It was horrifying.
Yeah, Spirit Science, this was funny. Unintentionally funny, but funny.
Wait a minute, they're from the same guy.
Well, they presented some kind of spirituality shit, and spirituality involves a lot of believing shit that's completely fucking ridiculous on faith.
No. I mean that it's the characters in the videos are designed by the same guy who worked with.
Yeah, but the extra credits guy was trying to talk to you about concrete facts about Nazis and FPS first person shooter deathmatch scenarios in video games where you are a Nazi if you spawn in as the Germany side of a multiplayer deathmatch, which is so batshit fucking insane and beggars belief. It's completely insane, like psychotic. I would say anything that Jordan's put out is way more sane than that extra credits video. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Well, that's what you get when you overdose on the SJW Kool-Aid. Games are murder simulators.
The difference between fantasy and reality at a very fundamental level. If you're playing a game that is basically literally like a game, like a sport, where you're trying to get points, whether it's capture the flag or capture the spawn point or just plain deathmatch. A lot of these FPS games are a sport, a very rudimentary, corny bullshit sport, but they're technically a sport.
All sports are basically corny
They're
bullshit.
not a narrative. They're not a philosophical piece of propaganda. They're just a sport. They're a game. A literal, like hopscotch or tic-tac-toe, like a very rudimentary game is what these FPS
By the way, you know what I just realized? Remember how they implied that if there was a choice, people wouldn't play as Nazis? These people know about historical reenactors?
Nobody cares. There's no story. It's like, haha, fuck you, faggot. I fucked your mom. You're a nigger, and I'm playing as the Nazis. Lol, aren't I so edgy? Like, it's that simple.
All right, Khalil, calm down.
No, but like they are saying that nobody would play as a Nazi, but there are historical reenactors who reenact as Nazis. So I mean, why wouldn't people play as Nazis?
It's just the fact that there's no stories. There are people who are going to pick the quote-unquote edgy side of anything. You pick the freaking African versus Boer war, or the freaking Japanese versus the Americans, or the Korean conflict. You pick any fucking war, any video game based on said war, people will pick the bad guys just to be edgy, and they'll make all these memes about it, and they'll be
Because
fucking
it's
edgy
fun,
for the sake of
and
it.
video games are fun.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean anything. So this extra credits guy was literally saying, if you spawn as the Nazis, you fucking are as a Nazi, because if you spawn enough times as the Nazi, you'll think the Nazis are okay, and you'll put all these memes out, and you'll think, oh, hey, I'm going to show up the Stormfront and shit, and he's insane. There's no evidence.
Fucking storm fags. Oh God, what is this? 2009?
Hey guys, I'm back.
Welcome.
Hey.
It was
So,
literally as bad as if you played Doom, you're going to shoot up for a school. It was literally that bad. It was literally that bad. If you can play Quake, you're going to shoot up a school.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot up a school if it's filled with fucking demons.
Hey, so what are we playing as Pol Pot's Khmer Rouge? I mean, seriously, there needs to be a game about the Khmer Rouge.
That would actually, you know what? A game set about Pol Pot would probably actually be pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the point is, I want to tell anybody watching, anybody in the chat, normalization is a fake bullshit concept that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as normalization. It's either you believe a thing and buy it, or you don't. There's no such thing as, oh, hey, you're playing somebody with an iron cross and a nice Hugo Boss outfit skin, therefore you're a Nazi. And you watch the guy's video, he's saying, if you play the skin, if you play the weapon set, you literally fucking are a Nazi. Literally.
What?
Not figuratively, not hypothetically, not you're role-playing as. No, he means if you spawn in as this thing, you are a Nazi. If you
Well, he meant that the character is a Nazi, not the player, but still.
No, but he also said that the player becomes a Nazi.
Well,
He literally means you're a Nazi if you play Battlefield 5 and you spawn in as Germany, even if you're a black woman, Nazi. If you play Counter-Strike Go and you spawn as a terrorist, you are a terrorist. Period. End of story. Literally,
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
By the way,
Yeah.
this is what this guy looks like. Apparently,
Ooh, oola.
Holy
Ouch.
fucking
That's,
shit! That's so bad.
Hey, by the way, guys, did you guys weigh in on the little part that's like so weirdly specific? Like, oh, when you balance a map correctly by a team in LA.
And of course, the guy who wrote this video or article, or at the very least performed it, looks like a pencil-necked, pin-eyed fucking
this is. I think this is the guy who got fired for being a sex pest.
No. He didn't get fired. He isn't fired. He writes all of extra credits to this day.
it's not the
He
one who
wrote
wrote
this
it.
shit.
Oh, this is the one who wrote this. Oh, fuck. Holy shit. Well, yes. That's what
He wrote the microtransaction shit you watched, and he wrote this. And he molests people.
What did you guys what did you say? What did they say about microtransaction?
Oh, it was.
There's a
Let's not even talk about this anymore. It's
Yeah, you know what? I actually need to get to bed, my dudes.
It's a surprise mechanics.
2015. This is old shit. It's embarrassing that we're still talking about this now. It's a fucking shit.
Yeah, I gotta get going, my dudes.
Well, thanks for staying with us. I think maybe we should probably wrap it up, anyways, because
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Oh shit, we're still live. Fuck.
Yeah. We were going to talk about Disney, that Disney fight as a palate cleanser, but I guess.
Well, we took way too long talking about other stuff because, well, it's.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cringe this week.
Yeah, like it's hard.
Well,
not
we've been pent up for like what, 2 weeks?
3 weeks, almost a month.
Yeah, you guys got to avoid those 2-week breaks because the rabbit hole is dropping down faster and faster these days.
Well, now there is the Area 51 rush, the Zerg rush.
Oh yes, the Kyles with the drywall munitions.
Like 3 people are gonna show up and get arrested for that bullshit.
Not really. They're gonna fucking die. They're gonna disappear.
Yeah, because it's a military installation and it has security. So if you try to bomb rush a military base, well, guess how it ends. It doesn't end well.
There was the meme of they can't kill all of us.
No,
there was a joke. Oh, they can't kill all of us, and then you see a guy on a minigun laughs in 3,000 RPMs.
But that's the thing. They don't need to kill all of them. When they kill the first ones, the other ones will, disperse because unless they are completely retarded.
Well, if they Naruto run, they could dodge some bullets.
Get shot. If like 100 people tried to cross Area 51's borders, somebody would get shot. But most people would run away or stop or just be detained, given a Class A misdemeanor and sent on the way.
Well, it's pretty clear that
attention. They really don't want people paying attention.
Well, if they try that, it's like they can't arrest all of us. You're right. That's why they're gonna shoot you.
Avoid killing anybody if they can, and the people that they arrest, they're going to avoid giving any kind of felony charges.
Well, if theoretically, if there are thousands of people there, they're not going to be able to arrest anyone, so they're just going to shoot
1,000 people are not going to show up. It's going to be 20 at most.
And those 20 people are going to get a Class B or C or A misdemeanor charge and sent on their way, and it's going to be nothing because what they want is nothing.
Supposedly the estimate is like 200 to 300,000 people.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
The memers.
I don't even think they got aliens over there. They just got.
Oh God, no.
That's
in the other area.
Aliens are not in Area 51. Alien is like a creator of Facebook. That's your alien.
Yeah, no. Aliens are not the Area 51. They're the White House.
Drop file. God.
What do you think Covfefe was? Was a signal to the other aliens.
Yeah, it was the human disguise sleeping.
Yeah.
What do you think that video of him roasting that baby in that barbecue was? The dude really loves eating babies, man. He really loves eating children. I mean, that's his sustenance. Zuckerberg is both an alien lizard from planet Sinu.
This week I'm gonna do my first full video, and I'm gonna respond to that fucking extra credits.
Bring me the child.
Yeah. Wow, the slogan I could use.
Definitely hard to
Your
respond to.
teacher gave you a chance to get extra credits, and you get 0.
Well, it's not that hard to do any kind of response to the extra credits video because it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Yeah, fucking,
Also, they're
fucking
chicken shit
Overlord
to-
Gaming basically made a 20-minute video laughing his ass off.
Yeah, I did 60 minutes and I could have edited it down to 40.
Oh man, I loved that. I loved watching your
There's
vid
at
shit,
least
dude.
40 minutes worth of "Are you fucking retarded" in that 6-minute video.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we should probably kind of wrap it up because, well, it's like almost 8 a.m. here. Well, thanks to everyone who survived this long and listened to this, and thanks to everyone who joined us. I'll see
Join
you
us when, hopefully next week, I guess.
Yeah. See you next time. Well,
see you.
Join us whenever.
Later.
And remember, be a nigger, not a Nazi.
Yeah, what you gotta do?
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Yeah. Don't play as terrorists in Counter-Strike because, well, you'll become terrorists. You'll become a Duracell in real life.
Duracell.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.